Chapter 420. The miraculous effects of this purple cloud spiritual fruit made Qin Wushuang sigh endlessly. He felt that the miraculous nature could not be described with words. When Bao Bao saw the Silver Monkey King looking at Qin Wushuang with a sincere gaze, he also hoped that Qin Wushuang would get this purple cloud spiritual fruit. He urged, "Boss Wushuang, you are the great benefactor of the monkey clan. I will make the decision for you. Take this purple cloud spiritual fruit." The Silver Monkey King also said sincerely, "Young Master Qin, no need to be so polite." When Qin Wushuang saw their sincere intentions, he could not decline as he gave a long sigh. "I am truly ashamed to receive such a great gift." The Silver Monkey King laughed. "Young Master Qin, only with your magnanimity you deserve such a great gift from us. Among the humans, there are many greedy people. People as humble as young Master Qin are rare. Bao Bao, come and deliver it to young Master Qin." Bao Bao laughed mischievously. "Alrighty." He held that jade bottle and delivered it to Qin Wushuang. "Boss, if you don't take it, it means you are looking down on the entire monkey clan." The other monkey tribe elders nodded in agreement. "That's right, accept it." This time, if it weren't for young Master Qin's help, the monkey clan would not have survived, not to mention the treasure. Qin Wushuang said, "Then I will take it with a thick face." He took that jade bottle in his hand. However, this jade bottle was not transparent. Qin Wushuang could not see the situation inside and did not know what was going on with this purple cloud spiritual fruit. The Silver Monkey King laughed. "Young Master Qin, since you have already picked this spiritual fruit, you can consume it at any time. It would be best if you consume it immediately." Qin Wushuang removed the cork from that jade bottle. As soon as the cork was removed, a wave of purple mist rushed out from that jade bottle. Instantly, the entire space was filled with this purple mist and appeared to be extremely auspicious. "Boss, hurry and consume it. Don't let the divine power of the divine object go missing," Bao Bao urged. Qin Wushuang nodded, his mouth facing the mouth of the bottle and spurting out a stream of zhenqi. Just like a whale sucking in water, a suction force was sucked into his mouth, suddenly turning into a purple light, and was sucked into Qin Wushuang's throat. When the purple qi entered his throat, it was as if he had absorbed something soft and slippery, melting in his mouth. It slid into his heart and lungs. Qin Wushuang suddenly felt relaxed and happy. He felt as if there was an auspicious purple aura in front of him. His whole body was supported by a mysterious force, and he felt as if he was about to fly. In his mind, clouds and mist covered the mountains. It was as if he was flying in the clouds. Qin Wushuang allowed this thought to run wild, and only after a long time did he restrain his mind. He slowly suppressed the roaming airflow in his entire body and guided the mysterious energy into his dantian. When he opened his eyes, his surroundings were still the same as before. However, all the experts of the monkey race were looking at him with a strange gaze, as though they were looking at something strange. "Boss, how do you feel?" Bao Bao was the first one to ask. "I feel very light, as if I'm in the clouds." Qin Wushuang answered honestly. The Silver Monkey King laughed. "Of course, consume this purple cloud spiritual fruit. Once the purple cloud yin-yang wings are grown, it would be easy for you to soar into the sky. It is rumored that this purple cloud yin-yang wings is the final form. There is a long way to go to evolve to the purple cloud yin-yang wings. It is said that there are a few processes in between. During each evolution process, the wings will change color, until it turns into the color of purple clouds. That is the final form." Suddenly, Bao Bao thought of a question. "Boss, if you grow a pair of wings on your back, wouldn't it be scary?" "Ha ha ha." However, the Silver Monkey King laughed first. "Bao Bao, you are worrying for nothing. For this divine treasure, you can control it with your spiritual perception. You can take it in and release it at will. How could it be exposed outside?" Bao Bao stuck out his tongue. "It's so miraculous." Hearing the Silver Monkey King's miraculous words, Qin Wushuang was also fascinated. "Your Majesty, I wonder when the wings will grow?" The Silver Monkey King said, "When you enter the void martial stage and refine your shape, the divine treasure inside your body will react and grow. You will also need to train these wings." Qin Wushuang said seriously, "I understand. Thank you for your guidance." The Silver Monkey King laughed. "Today I asked young Master Qin to come here for this matter. Qin Wushuang, I wish you to enter the void martial stage soon. Refine your shape and become a true elite young warrior." Bao Bao laughed. "Monkey King, Boss Wushuang is now a true elite young warrior." The Silver Monkey King nodded. "Yes, with your age, you have such strength. Plus the equipment you have. Even in the Xian Yuan Mound, you are an exceptional existence. However, to be truly competitive in the Xian Yuan Mound, you need to work harder." Qin Wushuang could not help but ask, "Your Majesty, in the Xian Yuan Mound, what kind of standard is used to measure the strength of the young generation?" After a moment of thinking, the Silver Monkey King answered, "In the Xian Yuan Mound, for those secluded sects, the young disciples are at most at the middle or advanced stage. Such secluded sects or local powerhouses are as numerous as the hairs on an ox in the Xian Yuan Mound. For example, a small town, a village, or a tribe. This level of powerhouses cannot enter the mainstream of the Xian Yuan Mound. However, they have the most numbers." Qin Wushuang listened attentively. Up to this moment, he did not have a systematic understanding of the exact strength of the forbidden spiritual zones. The Silver Monkey King was knowledgeable and had a great understanding of a Xian Yuan Mound. He was a good teacher. After getting rid of these secluded powerhouses, there are some third-rate powerhouses. Among the disciples of the third-rate powerhouses, the more exceptional ones are at the perfect stage. There are even exceptional disciples at the refined void martial stage. The Silver Monkey King said with a smile, "In the Xian Yuan Mound, there are at least 200 or 300 third-rate powerhouses." When Bao Bao heard up to this point, he could not help but feel somewhat depressed. "This way, with my strength, I can only rank among the exceptional disciples of the third-rate powerhouses?" The Silver Monkey King laughed. "Bao Bao, this is not the way to compare. Don't be in a rush. Listen to me first. After the third-rate powerhouses, there are those second-rate powerhouses. In the Xian Yuan Mound, there are about 40 or 50 second-rate powerhouses. Usually, their exceptional disciples are at the refined void martial stage. Those with higher talent are at the transformation void martial stage. A small number of them could even reach the profound void martial stage. Of course, very few of the young disciples of the second-rate powerhouses could enter the profound void martial stage. If they did, they would definitely be famous among the young generation of the Xian Yuan Mound. After ranking the second-rate powerhouses, the first-rate powerhouses are at the top. In the Xian Yuan Mound, there are no more than 10 first-rate powerhouses. Most of them are entrenched at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. The exceptional disciples of the first-rate powerhouses are at least at the transformation void martial stage. To the first-rate powerhouses, the competition between them is to see who has more young disciples at the profound void martial stage. The most would have 20 or 30, and the least would not be less than 10. However, Bao Bao was suspicious. Why are there so many profound void martial stage martial artists among the young generation of the first-rate powerhouses? Could it be that it's because of the bloodline inheritance? It's one thing to inherit the bloodline, but the most important thing is to occupy the position at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. The Heavenly Emperor Mountain is the ruling core area of the Xian Yuan Mound. It gathers the strengths of the Xian Yuan Mound's spiritual qi. It's the easiest way to nurture talents. Among the first-rate powerhouses, a small number of the young generation have entered the perfect void martial stage. When Bao Bao heard up to this point, he also clicked his tongue in wonder. It seems that compared to those devilish people at the Xian Yuan Mound, we still need to work harder. The Silver Monkey King laughed. "Of course, Bao Bao, there will always be a higher mountain. You should never think that you have the right to be cocky just because you have great talent." Qin Wushuang silently digested the words of the Silver Monkey King. Combined with the earlier guidance from Senior Yin Xuechun, he gained a new understanding of the situation at the Xian Yuan Mound. This way, the Qin clan was also a first-rate powerhouse when they resided at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Perhaps, for all these years, the Qin clan had not given up on this title of first-rate powerhouse. Giving up the position at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain meant giving up on their future. Suddenly, Bao asked, "Silver Monkey King, what level is that Heavenly Luo Daoist sect?" The Heavenly Luo Daoist sect is a second-rate powerhouse. However, among the second-rate powerhouses, they are above average in terms of strength. I heard that the Heavenly Luo Daoist sect has 4 great Dao warriors. 2 of them have already shattered the void and broke through the restraints of the void martial stage. Their body and soul have merged with the great Dao and entered that exquisite, mysterious boundary stage. They're only one step away from the Supreme Dao. Exquisite, mysterious boundary stage. It was Qin Wushuang's first time hearing this term. Yes, the exquisite, mysterious boundary stage. The Silver Monkey King said seriously. To put it precisely, this exquisite, mysterious boundary stage is not a major stage. However, it is a stage that all martial artists who pursue the Supreme Dao cannot bypass. Supreme Dao. Bao Bao could not help but ask. This way in the future, I must enter this exquisite, mysterious boundary stage to pursue the Supreme Dao. That's for sure. The Silver Monkey King gave a long sigh. The exquisite, mysterious boundary stage should be the last step between the human and the Supreme Dao. After breaking through this mysterious boundary stage, it would be the Supreme Dao. From then on, the Divine Soul would be completed. Even if the body is destroyed, the Divine Soul can escape from the 3 worlds and not enter the 5 elements. As long as you find a body, you can still have a new life. Qin Wushuang was enthralled as he listened. He gave a long sigh. No wonder it's the Supreme Dao. It's truly miraculous. Bao Bao laughed. That means after entering the Supreme Dao, you can live forever? Haha, that might not be the case. Theoretically, the Supreme Dao is immortal. In fact, elite warriors of the Supreme Dao can attack each other's Divine Soul. Once the Divine Soul was shattered, the Divine Soul would also disappear. The Supreme Dao only breaks through the human rules and surpasses the human rules. However, the Supreme Dao itself cannot create the rules. The Silver Monkey King said seriously, only those who create the rules are qualified to challenge that stage of immortality. When he said here, the tone of the Silver Monkey King was also full of fascination. Surpassing the rules, they only had some more privileges than humans. After all, they were not the creators of the rules. When Qin Wushuang heard this point, he was moved inwardly. Hearing the words of the Silver Monkey King, could it be there was a higher stage above the Supreme Dao? The Silver Monkey King observed his expression and saw Qin Wushuang's confusion. He nodded with a smile. Young Master Qin, as you have guessed, there is a higher stage above the Supreme Dao. Only what is this stage? I cannot answer, and I believe that no one in the entire Tianxian land can answer it accurately. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.qidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 421. When the Silver Monkey King said here, suddenly he laughed. That's off topic, off topic. Haha, let's just talk about the Xianyuan Mount. Although the Silver Monkey King had stopped the topic, his words had made Qin Wushuang daydream endlessly. His mind had already wandered to the sky. Bao Bao was not as imaginative as Qin Wushuang as he said, Boss Wushuang, that Heavenly Luo Daoist sect has such strong power, it seems they are not easy to deal with. I think we should make a move when we go to the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. If they're sure that you are a disciple of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan, then the Heavenly Luo Daoist sect would not dare to make a move. Didn't the Silver Monkey King say it? Since they are entrenched in the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, for sure they are a first-rate powerhouse. After he had finished, he turned to ask the Silver Monkey King, the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan is a first-rate powerhouse, right? Heavenly Emperor Qin clan? The Silver Monkey King revealed a somewhat astonished expression. He looked at Qin Wushuang, and suddenly, a trace of a bitter smile emerged. young Master Qin. Could it be you are related to the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan? Since Bao Bao had not participated in the conversation between Qin Wushuang and Yin Shuechun, he did not know that Qin Wushuang had no doubts about being a disciple of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. My first-generation ancestor is a disciple of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. The Silver Monkey King gave a long sigh and said with a somewhat complicated expression, the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan did not have a good life. Young Master Qin, could it be you're going to seek refuge with the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan? Qin Wushuang said, initially, I wanted to scout the situation. If the family is in danger, of course I will lend a hand if I can. The Silver Monkey King nodded. With your talent, although your current strength is not enough to share the burden of the Qin clan, you should be able to receive focused training. That's right, with Boss's talent. If he is given some time at the Xianyuan Mound, he will be on par with the exceptional disciples of those first-rate powerhouses. Bao Bao was full of confidence in Qin Wushuang. The Silver Monkey King did not deny this point. From the first time he saw Qin Wushuang to the second time he saw Qin Wushuang, he could clearly feel that Qin Wushuang had changed greatly. Even an experienced and knowledgeable Beast King like the Silver Monkey King could not help but marvel at his progress. Therefore, he was very optimistic about Qin Wushuang's future. Because of this, he was happy to see Bao Bao dating Qin Wushuang. This would be absolutely beneficial to Bao Bao's growth. Earlier, Qin Wushuang had also received some information about the crisis of the Qin clan from Yin Shuechun. However, Yin Shuechun's answer was obviously still somewhat vague. He only gave a rough description of the situation. As for who the enemy of the Qin was, what kind of enemies they had, and the reason for the grudge, he did not mention it. Therefore, Qin Wushuang wanted to learn more about the situation from this knowledgeable Silver Monkey King. Immediately, he asked, Your Majesty, I also learned about the crisis of the Qin clan from my ancestors' will. After a few hundred years of this crisis, what is the current situation? Could Your Majesty please enlighten me? The Silver Monkey King said with a smile, The Monkey Clan is a beast clan. The Beast Clan can stay out of the conflict between the hidden sects of the Xianyuan Mound. It would be fine even if you give a few comments. As for the latest situation, I don't know. However, the crisis of the Qin clan started from when they ruled the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. It was rumored that 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, when the Qin clan was powerful and prosperous, they worshipped the heavens and earth at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain and ascended to the position of Heavenly Emperor. They were in charge of the 8 desolate lands and 72 prefectures of the Xianyuan Mound. The Qin clan was upright and just. Their methods were swift and decisive as they dealt with some improper practices in the Xianyuan Mound. Because the Qin clan style was too rigid, they had offended many powerhouses and planted hidden dangers. Qin Wushuang said, So it's still an old grudge. At the Heavenly Emperor Mountain of the Xianyuan Mound, every dog has its day. In the end, no Heavenly Emperor could live forever. Although the Qin clan was prosperous, the trend of prosperity and decline was the way of nature. They could not avoid it. When the Qin clan went downhill, the Qin clan failed in the Heavenly Emperor selection that happened every 500 years. From then on, they went downhill day by day. However, in the first 1,000 or 2,000 years, the Qin clan still had some prestige. Although they had stepped down from the position of Heavenly Emperor, the powerhouses of the clan still existed. Not many people dared to act wildly above them. However, as time passed, the senior elders of the Qin clan passed away one after another. The new generation of disciples could not continue to rise like before. It caused the position of the Qin clan to drop rapidly. Their position at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain also started to waver. Naturally, some of the powerhouses that had conflicts with the Qin clan had reached a mutual understanding and were preparing to push the Qin clan out of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. In these 1,000 years, such battles have continued to the present. Although the Qin clan is still holding on, they seem to have lost their momentum and are unable to continue. When Qin Wushuang arrived at this point, he finally understood the sequence of events. Inwardly, he was more or less moved. Thank you for your advice, Your Majesty. When Qin Wushuang heard that the Qin clan had held on for 1,000 years, such persistence was commendable. Regardless, the blood flowing in his body was the blood of the Qin clan. Now, when he heard the Qin clan's words, it would be impossible for him to remain completely indifferent. How could this count as advice? It's just some general knowledge. Qin Wushuang said, I just don't know which powerhouse is the current Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Haha, this Heavenly Emperor is the Zhou clan of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. The Zhou clan's standpoint is neutral. Being the powerhouse on the Heavenly Emperor's side, they cannot get involved in such struggles. Besides, according to the rules of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, even the Heavenly Emperor cannot interfere with the struggles between the other powerhouses. This way, it's not easy for the Qin clan to pass this hurdle. However, Bao Bao said, even the ruler of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain cannot interfere. This matter has truly escalated. Could it be that no one can interfere? It's not that no one can interfere. Those who can will not interfere. When the Silver Monkey King said this, his tone had clearly revealed some restraint. Someone can interfere? Bao Bao could not help but feel curious. Who are they? I am afraid it's that Xian Yuan clan. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. The Silver Monkey King nodded. That's right. In the Xian Yuan Mound, the Xian Yuan clan stands above everything. They are the totem powerhouse. Even if the 8 major powerhouses of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain join hands, they cannot threaten the existence of the totem powerhouse. If the Xian Yuan Mound were to make a move, it would be easy for them to suppress the internal strife of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. However, the Xian Yuan clan would never make a move. For the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates, the competition for the positions has always been the tradition of the Xian Yuan Mound. Competition encourages improvement and maintains vitality. The Xian Yuan clan would love to see this. Of course, Qin Wushuang understood this principle. Of course, he would not place his hopes on others to mediate. Although the competition for the positions of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain held different meaning than the humble class position of the Eastwood Qin clan, the principle was the same. To defend the position, one must rely on strength and fists. All other fantasies would be empty. Qin Wushuang smiled lightly. Just when he was about to speak, suddenly, a burst of powerful presence came from the back mountain. This aura was so familiar, but it also seemed a little strange. When this presence rolled over, the entire Phoenix Return Mountain seemed to sway. Bao Bao was the first to react. Boss, it's Lone. Could it be he broke through? Qin Wushuang was also overjoyed inwardly. Let's go take a look. He cupped his hands in a salute to the Silver Monkey King, and Qin Wushuang ran outside with Bao Bao. When the Silver Monkey King saw Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao rush out, there was also a trace of shock on his face. Another void martial stage. The Silver Monkey King gave a light sigh. However, the Black Leaf Guardian on the side said, Your Majesty, this young Master Qin is from the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. With the current situation of the Qin clan, would it be a good thing to let Bao Bao interact with young Master Qin? The Red-Faced Guardian also nodded, but did not agree. The Silver Monkey King said with a smile, Then in your opinion, should we let Bao Bao not interact with that Qin Wushuang? Don't forget, Bao Bao has the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey. We cannot use the common concept of the monkey clan to ask him. With the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey, he has the pride of the ancient spiritual monkey. If we use such power, it will create a psychological barrier for Bao Bao and affect his growth. The 2 guardians and the 2 grand elders of the monkey clan all nodded thoughtfully. They must admit that the Silver Monkey King's insight was much deeper than theirs. Although this Qin Wushuang came from the human countries, I saw the temperament of a genius from him. When he goes to the Xian Yuan Mound, even if he does not rely on the Qin clan, he will surely make a name for himself. For such a person, the benefits of interacting with Bao Bao would definitely outweigh the disadvantages. Haha, Your Majesty. For that purple cloud spiritual fruit, even if we cannot use it, why not leave it for Bao Bao? After giving it to young Master Qin, we must make up a lie to trick him that this purple cloud spiritual fruit is useless to the monkey clan. It was apparent that these elite warriors of the monkey clan still felt it was a pity for the purple cloud spiritual fruit. Only, since the Silver Monkey King had made the decision, they could not openly object. Additionally, the Monkey Clan was a clan that knew how to be grateful. To Qin Wushuang, they also felt grateful from the bottom of their hearts. They also knew deeply that without Qin Wushuang's help, the Monkey Clan would not have survived these two calamities easily. For the purple cloud spiritual fruit, even with my potential, I cannot use it. Bao Bao has the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey. It's only a matter of time before he enters the Supreme Dao stage. Once he enters the Supreme Dao stage, he can travel through the sky or the ground with a single thought. Why would he need that purple cloud yin-yang wings? The Silver Monkey King laughed. Remember, in the Tianxian land, sometimes a good relationship is much more precious than a treasure. I believe that it will not be wrong to bet on this Qin Wushuang. Elder Black Leaf gave a long sigh. I only hope that this Qin Wushuang will not get involved in the general situation of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. Once he gets involved, I am afraid it will affect Bao Bao. The Silver Monkey King still remained calm, as he said with a smile. Don't worry, it will not affect Bao Bao. The descendants of the Divine Clan are not as fragile as we think. Even among the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates, which powerhouse are the descendants of the immemorial Divine Clan? None of them. Since the Silver Monkey King had said it this way, naturally those elite warriors of the Monkey Clan could not say anything. After all, they did not hold any ill intentions towards Qin Wushuang. They only felt endless gratitude. If it weren't for the general situation of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan, they would not have thought of stopping Bao Bao from interacting with Qin Wushuang. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.qijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 422. After the breakthrough, the purple flame electric beast appeared extremely excited. He kept jumping and dancing on the hillside. This was a breakthrough that had been delayed for a few thousand years. It was the excitement that the purple flame electric beast had suppressed for a few thousand years. Now, he had finally broken through the restraints of the spiritual martial force and truly entered the void martial force. The purple flame electric beast that was wrapped by the purple light appeared like a ball of purple flame. Inside the purple light, the body of the purple flame electric beast was also changing violently. The shape within the purple light was also constantly changing and changing. From afar, Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao stopped to watch. Vacuum refinement. I wonder what kind of appearance Lone will make this time. Bao Bao was quite satisfied with the vacuum refinement. The human form he had refined was a delicate and handsome young man that everyone loved. Even Boss Wushuang's sister had praised him. Now, he was curious. What kind of appearance would the purple flame electric beast transform into? Involuntarily, he could not help but feel a sense of comparison as he watched without blinking. Whoosh! Suddenly, that ball of purple light that wrapped around the purple flame electric beast soared to the sky. Next, the purple light on Bao Bao's body slowly dimmed. Like peeling silk from a cocoon, it kept getting pulled away. The color became fainter and the light became more blurred. Roar! The purple flame electric beast gave a loud roar and walked down from the hillside in large strides. He laughed. Boss Bao Bao, come quickly, what do you think of my appearance? His rough voice resounded throughout the valley. Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao immediately flew over. They saw a young man with a robust body like a tall tower scrambling down. Senior Lone, is this you? Instantly, Bao Bao was stunned. Then he could not help but scratch his ears and laugh. Look at this, haha, boss. This Lone is pretending to be young. It was the first time the purple flame electric beast had refined human form. He was also not confident. He scratched his head and smiled awkwardly. Boss, is it really that unsightly? The purple flame electric beast's human form had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a square face that appeared upright and serious. Between his eyes, there was a lot of dignity. However, the human figure it had chosen did not look more than 25 years old. It seemed to be about the same age as Qin Wushuang, considering that he was a spiritual beast from a few thousand years ago. Bao Bao had said that he was pretending to be young. Qin Wushuang, on the other hand, felt that this style was not bad. At the very least, it looked harmless to humans and animals, and people would not feel too hostile when looking at it. He immediately smiled and said, "This style is not bad. Don't listen to Bao Bao." Hearing Qin Wushuang's words, the purple flame electric beast was relieved. He chuckled. "If boss says it's not bad, then it's definitely not bad. Bao Bao, tell me honestly, are you jealous that I have become more handsome than you?" Bao Bao laughed. "Keep showing off. Your image has nothing to do with being handsome." These two buffoons often bickered, so Qin Wushuang did not find it strange. "Lone, congratulations, you have finally entered the Void Martial stage." Qin Wushuang was sincerely happy for him. The purple flame electric beast was also deeply moved. Void Martial stage. Haha. After entering the Void Martial stage, the knot in my heart has been untied. Untied? Qin Wushuang said with a smile. You no longer hold a grudge against the person who sealed you. In fact, the purple flame electric beast had never held much hatred. Only, he cared about his reputation and did not let go of his words. In fact, he knew that if that person had not sealed him, perhaps he would have already turned into a pile of white bones after a few thousand years. After all, it was rare for an elite warrior of the Supreme, Tao, to live over 3,000 years old. Thinking carefully, it was not bad that he was able to breathe the air of a few thousand years later and was still alive. Earlier, he had always had a knot in his heart, as he could not accept the reality of being sealed. Now, once he had broken through and entered the Void Martial stage, this knot had naturally been untied. Lone, Bao Bao. The matter at the dispersed praying mountain has come to an end. Now, I plan to go to the Xian Yuan Mound and the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. This is my personal choice. Whether you go or not, I will not force you. Lone was the first one to cry out. Boss, after I was sealed, I was cursed. As long as the seal is lifted, I will be your contract beast from now on. Of course I will follow you. Although I hold a grudge against the person who sealed me, I truly support the person who saved me. And boss, you are a good person. You suit my taste from all aspects. You did not treat me as a slave beast and did not order me around. I will not speak courteous words. Anyways, from the day I got free, you are my boss. I will live for you and die for you. I will not even blink my eyes. Hearing Lone's words, Bao Bao's blood also boiled as he said emotionally, Yes, boss, you are the most interesting and the most exceptional human I have ever seen. I feel that regardless of the experience or the bloody battles, it is always fulfilling when I am with you guys. Thus, I will also follow you. You will not be able to drive me away, even if you want to. Qin Wushuang was emotionally moved as he looked at these two friends. Boss, you humans always talk about living and dying together. For these things, the Beast Clan will not do them. However, I alone will live and die with you. Me too. If there's a fight, we'll fight together. If we bleed together, we'll live together. If we die together. Bao Bao roared with excitement. I don't believe that the three of us are not as good as those people born in the forbidden spiritual zones. Could it be that they are more exceptional than us? Aren't they just born with a better background? Boss, the three of us must make a name for ourselves in the Tianxian land. We must spread our name to every corner of the land. Bao Bao, although you are usually childish, I agree with your words 100%. Boss, what about the forbidden spiritual zones? Who was born as an elite warrior of the Supreme Tao? The three of us will join hands and aim for that Supreme Tao stage. Not only the Xian Yuan Mound, one day, the three of us will make the entire Tianxian land tremble for us. Each of these two guys was more excited than the other. Apparently, the breakthrough in their training had also caused the purple flame electric beast's confidence to expand abnormally. Qin Wushuang's hot blood was also stirred up by them as it boiled inside his body. In fact, Qin Wushuang had never lacked confidence. He always felt that he would not be weaker than anyone. Even if he was born in the human countries, he would be an insignificant existence in the eyes of all the powerhouses in the forbidden spiritual zones. However, Qin Wushuang had never looked down on himself. He firmly believed that with time, he would also achieve success in the forbidden spiritual zones. Since he could rise quickly in the human countries, he had the confidence to stand out in the forbidden spiritual zones. Okay, then the three of us will join hands to make a name for ourselves in the Xianyuan Mound. Qin Wushuang extended his right hand. Bao Bao and Lone also extended their palms and smiled knowingly. Everything was understood without words. After making the promise, they walked down from the slope. Qin Wushuang said, I plan to depart in 5 days. Bao Bao, if you're coming with me, you must tell the Silver Monkey King. Boss, don't worry, the Silver Monkey King will not stop me. Bao Bao was extremely confident. After 3 days, Qin Wushuang went to find Lin Dian again. Indeed, this Lin Dian was efficient. In a few short days, he had found 7 people. 4 of them were his former confidants. As for the other 3, they were experts with different surnames from different territories. Lin Dian gathered them together and laughed. Everyone, I asked you guys to come together because I want to ask if you guys are willing to make a name for yourselves with me. Brother Lin, we were just worried about not having a place to stay. If you are willing to lead us and take us to make a name for ourselves, we are willing to treat you as our leader. Yes, Brother Lin, we will listen to you. Lin Dian smiled lightly and waved his hand. Don't be in a rush. Let me ask you guys, if I already found a place to go, are you guys willing to follow me? Of course we are willing. Brother Lin, if you have found a place, we will be reassured. Even if we don't get anything important from the descendants of the 8 great bandits, there will always be a place where we can expand our ambitions. Yes, Brother Lin, tell us where to go. Lin Dian said seriously, Lin Dian, will be frank. No matter where you seek refuge, poor or rich, are you guys willing to make a name for yourselves with me? Are you guys willing to make a name for yourselves with me? Brother Lin, there is no need to ask. We are all willing. The 7 people, 7 pairs of eyes, were all abnormally resolute. There was no hesitation at all. Obviously, they were very confident in Lin Dian. No matter if it was strength or charisma, Lin Dian had absolute prestige among this group of people. Lin Dian looked at them for a long time and swept his gaze across everyone's eyes. Then, he nodded. All right, I will find a place for you guys to entrust yourselves to. Everyone, follow me. I will bring you guys to meet someone. While the 7 people were stunned, a light laugh came from behind the hill. No need to go. I am here. Qin Wushuang appeared with 2 companions. Qin Wushuang. The 7 people were all shocked. Lin Dian laughed. Brothers, you guys are not unfamiliar with the name of Qin Wushuang. Young Master Qin, right? Regardless of before or this battle, Qin Wushuang had left a deep impression on everyone. Of course, they would not be unfamiliar with him. Young Master Qin is powerful and has dominated the human countries. We have heard of this name a long time ago. This time, hearing about him is not as good as meeting him in person. Even Yi Wenhong was killed by him. How could we be unfamiliar with him? Qin Wushuang smiled calmly and walked down. Lin Dian, are these 7 people reliable? Absolutely. Lin Dian said with a confident tone. Qin Wushuang observed for a moment and laughed leisurely. Okay, with one look, I agree with your judgment. Lin Dian pointed at Qin Wushuang and said, Brothers, we are indebted to Qin Wushuang for letting bygones be bygones and recommending us to join the Stargaze Palace of the Great Luo Empire. We will establish a group of guardians. The 8 of us will be the first group of guardians. Our position is only below the 5 palace masters. Are you guys willing? Qin Wushuang smiled and only looked at these people. He was not in a rush to recruit them. He wanted to see everyone's reaction. These 7 people were slightly astonished. However, they immediately understood something. They looked at each other and nodded. Since Senior Brother Lin is willing, it means that the Stargaze Palace is exceptional. Now, we are all homeless freelance martial artists. Why wouldn't we be happy to have a backer? Let's all go. However, Lin Dian said, for now, I don't know about the Stargaze Palace. However, This Qin Wushuang young Master Qin has an exceptional temperament and is not a fish in a pond. If we work for him, for sure our future will be bright. Bao Bao, who was next to Qin Wushuang, said proudly, Lin Dian, you have good eyes. In the future, even the forbidden spiritual zones will tremble before my boss. Just wait and see. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 423. As soon as Bao Bao spoke, Lin Dian and the others were surprised. Of course, they knew it was Bao Bao when they heard his voice. However, from his appearance, he was dressed as a human. Next to Bao Bao, a tall and sturdy young man with thick eyebrows and big eyes stood. Although he did not speak, his temperament was extraordinary as he stood like an iron tower. When he glared at them, he gave them an endless amount of pressure. It almost made them unable to calm down as their hearts throbbed. Lin Dian, take this letter with you. When you arrive at the Stargaze Palace, give it to the head palace master, and he will take care of everything. You guys only need to develop in the Stargaze Palace. I don't want to make empty promises. I only want to say one thing. In the future, when I make a name for myself in the Xianyuan Mound, if I can build a career and establish my own sect, you guys can follow me to train in the Xianyuan Mound. This promise didn't have too many sweet words, but it wasn't an empty promise either. However, it was very honest and made these people feel at ease. To them, entering the Xianyuan Mound to train was a dream opportunity. In the past, they would not even dare to think about it. However, Qin Wushuang had left them with such hope. Besides, here is a scroll. You should give it to the head palace master. He will know the use of this object when he sees it. You should also take it. This scroll was the soul scouring technique that Qin Wushuang had acquired from the Nine Raven Temple. Qin Wushuang had obtained this object from the Nine Raven Temple with great effort. He wanted to search for the whereabouts of the third spiritual key from Luo Guiyun's spiritual perception and open the door to explore the endless Eastern Sea. This matter was equally important. Lin Dian put away the letter and the scroll. Young Master Qin, then we will go now. Qin Wushuang nodded and said with an encouraging smile, Go. The Monkey King Mountain will not stop you. This time, you'll be unimpeded, ha ha ha. Thinking back, Lin Dian knew that the Silver Monkey King had asked them to stay because he wanted to give Qin Wushuang a chance to inspect them. Thinking back, he had questioned him because of this. Unexpectedly, things had developed in this direction. Everyone respectfully bowed to Qin Wushuang before they turned around and went down the mountain. Qin Wushuang sent Lin Dian and the others off with his eyes and raised his voice. Bao Bao, Lone, should we also depart? Bao Bao said, Okay, the Silver Monkey King said that he will send us away. All the way to the Xianyuan Mount. Your Majesty, the Monkey King is truly considerate. Qin Wushuang sighed. At the foot of Fengwang Peak, the Silver Monkey King personally sent them off with his trusted subordinates. Along the way, they arrived at the border of the dispersed praying mountain. The Silver Monkey King stood on the slope and looked forward from afar. After this valley, we will not be in the territory of the dispersed praying mountain. Young Master Qin, I won't be seeing you off. Qin Wushuang smiled and said, Your Majesty, this is already far enough. Please stay. The Silver Monkey King sighed softly and suddenly said, Young Master Qin, you are a genius blessed by the heavens. Your future is limitless. For this trip to the Xianyuan Mound, take care of yourself. Most importantly, you must protect your own life. As long as you are alive, you will have hope. Qin Wushuang knew the Silver Monkey King's worries as he said seriously, Your Majesty, please rest assured. I will not do those things that are beyond my power. Even if I have to do it, I will not drag Bao Bao into it. The Silver Monkey King laughed. Bao Bao has the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey. He has his own fortune. Okay, let's not talk too much. I wish young Master Qin a bright future. Young Master Qin, have a safe trip. The red-faced guardian also stepped forward and said, Ha ha, young Master Qin, I hope to hear the news of your achievements in the Xianyuan Mount soon. The Black Leaf Guardian also joked. Qin Wushuang raised his hand to bid farewell. Everyone goodbye. Under the gaze of the Silver Monkey King and a group of elite warriors, Qin Wushuang and his two friends turned around the mountain valley and disappeared from their sight. Apparently, Bao Bao was even more excited about leaving his hometown. Although he had transformed into human form, his monkey nature was not, as he kept somersaulting and jumping as he shouted, "Xin Yuan Mound, I, the Gold Monkey King, am coming." However, Qin Wushuang stopped Bao Bao and Lone as he said, "You two come here. This time, we are exploring the Xian Yuan Mound. It is not an ordinary place. We need to make an agreement on some matters." "Boss, what do you have to say?" Bao Bao and Lone both admired Qin Wushuang greatly. Thus, from their words, they trusted Qin Wushuang. According to the information, among the many forbidden spiritual zones, besides the endless Eastern Sea and the heavenly fire southern border, the Beast Clan is the main force. The others, such as the Xian Yuan Mound, the extreme North Snow Zone, and the Illusion Heavenly Lake, are all ruled by humans. Although there are also beast clans in the forbidden spiritual zones where humans rule, they are not the main force. Thus, since you two have already refined your human form, along the way, if it's not necessary for battle, try not to transform into your original form. This is to prevent people with ill intentions from seeing you and having evil ideas. Qin Wushuang's words were purely out of consideration for Bao Bao and Lone. Almost all the powerful human martial artists had the habit of conquering and controlling the beast clans. They either coveted the beast's inner core or wanted to take them as contract beasts. As long as they discovered a beast with good potential, they would not let it go. Thus, when entering the Xian Yuan Mound this time, they must use their human form. Bao Bao thought for a moment and agreed with Qin Wushuang's point. "Boss, we will listen to you." Lone also said, "Since we have come with you, I will also listen to you. However, I'm not afraid of them having evil ideas. If they dare to have ideas about me, I will tear them into pieces." Seeing their agreement, Qin Wushuang nodded and said again, "I thought about it. Since I have a special identity, to avoid people when I enter the Xian Yuan Mound, I will use a pseudonym. I will be called Wu Xinghe." Qin Wushuang still decided to use the name from his former world. Initially, he had mentioned this name before Li Bai. However, in the Xian Yuan Mound, for sure no one would know that this name was related to Qin Wushuang. "Wu Xinghe? Boss, do we also need to change our names?" Bao Bao asked curiously. "Let's think of ourselves as three brothers. You have the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey, so you will be called Wu Yuan. Lone is the purple flame electric beast, so you will be called Wu Yin. How about it?" "Ha ha! Wu Yuan, Wu Yin?" Bao Bao clapped his hands and laughed. "These names are nice, they are rather cool. We will use them." Of course, the purple flame electric beast would not object as he laughed. "Boss, whatever you say, us brothers will listen to you." Usually, these two guys had given Qin Wushuang a lot of trouble. However, at crucial moments, they understood the general situation. Qin Wushuang felt rather gratified as he opened a map. "Everyone look, this Xian Yuan Mound has 8 desolate lands and 72 prefectures. Now, we are in the southern territory of the Vermilion Bird Southern Wasteland. According to the map, this Vermilion Bird Southern Wasteland has 9 prefectures. Our current place is under the jurisdiction of the Orderly Mountain Prefecture." Qin Wushuang had 2 copies of the map of the Xian Yuan Mound. One of the 10 scrolls was acquired from the 3rd circle of the 7 deadly formation arrays. These 10 scrolls were extremely detailed. One of the scrolls was the overall map. The other 8 scrolls were the maps of the 8 desolate lands. The remaining scroll was a map that recorded many forbidden places in the Xian Yuan Mound. The map left by the first-generation ancestor Qin Yu in the Qin organization was targeted at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Thus, these 2 maps had different uses. To Qin Wushuang and his friends, those 10 scrolls were more useful. It was because they had just entered the Xian Yuan Mound. They were still a few million miles away from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Even if they did not encounter any obstacles along the way, it would take them a year to travel at a speed of 10,000 miles per day. and it would be impossible for them to not encounter any obstacles along the way. After all, this was the Xian Yuan Mound, a forbidden spiritual zone. They must be careful with each step. Thus, Qin Wushuang's plan was to arrive at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain smoothly in 2 years. Of course, these 2 years were not just for walking. They had traveled 10,000 miles to gain experience and increase their knowledge. Although the destination was important, the scenery along the way and the gains along the way were also extremely important. Currently, Qin Wushuang felt an extreme sense of urgency. He was well aware of the difficult situation. Although he was young, to him, he did not have an abundance of time. He must seize every minute and second and not waste any time. He cherished time like it was gold. Boss, for this vermilion bird, southern wasteland, just one desolate land has millions of land. I am afraid the Orderly Mountain Prefecture is no less than 100,000 miles, right? Bao Bao gave a long sigh. The organization of the Xian Yuan Mound was different than the human countries. Most likely, the land of one prefecture was close to half the size of the human countries, and the Xian Yuan Mound had 8 desolate lands. Under these 8 desolate lands, there were 72 prefectures. In other words, under each desolate land, there were 9 prefectures. The unit size of each prefecture did not sound big. In fact, it was almost the size of half the size of the human countries. The land of one prefecture was over 100,000 miles. It was apparent that the size of a Xian Yuan Mound was incomparable to the human countries. Inside each prefecture, there were further subdivisions. Under each prefecture, territories were divided according to their own situation. Each prefecture had about 10 major territories. And under the territories, there were states, counties, towns, villages, and tribes. These are similar to the human countries. Inside each prefecture, there was a capital city. The core city of the territory was called the Royal City. In order, there were state cities, county cities, small towns, villages. These were almost the same model as the human countries. Thus, it was not difficult for Qin Wushuang to familiarize himself with these places. However, it seemed that the same title in the Xian Yuan Mound had a completely different concept than in the human countries. This place is at least 50,000 miles away from the capital city of the Orderly Mountain Prefecture. Thus, our destination today is not the capital city, but a state city 2,000 miles away. Qin Wushuang pointed at the map and said with a smile, "Ironwood State City." With a profound gaze, Qin Wushuang called out, "Let's go." Although it was only 2,000 miles, to them, it was not a long journey. However, they would not dare to let down their guard in the Xian Yuan Mound. While they were hurrying along, they were also careful. Fortunately, on the first day of entering the Xian Yuan Mound, their journey was rather smooth. They did not encounter any accidents and arrived at the Ironwood State City smoothly. While Qin Wushuang was still outside the city gate, he experienced the boldness and generosity of the Xian Yuan Mound. Regardless of how one looked at this state city, it had far surpassed the imagination of the human countries. Even the imperial capital of an upper-ranking empire like the Great Luo Empire would lose its splendor. And this was merely a prefecture city. They had not even reached the royal city, the capital city, or the Heavenly Emperor capital of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Due to some blunders while cleaning up the normal group, it had caused some accidental injuries to some members. Many brothers in the group were kicked out. Please forgive me. Once again, I would like to apologize to everyone. Welcome brothers and sisters who love the Milky Way back to the group. Let's build a harmonious group. Group 2, 124159555. Group 3, 755252260. Group 5, 132424122. We can continue to add people. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. More chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 424. The management of the Xian Yuan Mound was loose on the outside and tight on the inside. Therefore, I didn't spend much effort at the city gate and easily passed it. Currently, the sky had darkened. These three arrived at an inn and prepared to check in. After all, this was the Xian Yuan Mound, and everything was different from the human countries. Qin Wushuang did not dare to neglect. At this time, many people were checking in at the inn. In front of Qin Wushuang, there were already a few groups of people lining up to check in. It was apparent that the management of the Xian Yuan Mound was tight on the inside. The check-in procedures at this inn were much stricter than in the human countries. Multiple rooms, 100 silver crystal stones, a total of 1 gold crystal stone. Single rooms, 30 silver crystal stones per room. What kind would you like to stay in? Crystal stones? When Qin Wushuang heard these words from afar, he could not help but feel surprised. He looked at Bao Bao and Lone and asked if they had any crystal stones. Apparently, those two guys never had the habit of checking in, as they showed a bitter smile and spread out their hands to show that they had never heard of it. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang smiled bitterly. He touched his nose and felt somewhat embarrassed. He thought that at this Xian Yuan Mound, gold and silver would still work. Unexpectedly, the currency of the Xian Yuan Mound was completely different from the human countries. While he was hesitating, there was no one in front of the counter, and it was Qin Wushuang's turn. When that waiter saw Qin Wushuang in a daze, he could not help but remind him, "Hey, you three, do you want to check in or what?" Qin Wushuang braced himself. "Check in. May I ask, besides crystal stones, do we accept other things?" "Other things?" That waiter dragged his tone. "We are a business inn and only accept crystal stones. For other things, regardless of good or bad, take it to the pawn shop or sell it at the flea market." "Only crystal stones?" Qin Wushuang was baffled. That waiter saw their predicament and laughed coldly. "What? You don't have the money and want to stay for free? If you have the money, then register. If you don't, then don't stay here and affect our business." This tone, this attitude, it was the same as the human countries, snobbish and unreasonable. Qin Wushuang naturally wouldn't argue with such a small character. With a bitter smile, Zhang Xian shook his head and prepared to leave. GMO, however, could not stand it. Seeing that the waiter was so arrogant, he was not happy. He walked to the counter and slapped it hard. "So what if you have no money? Should I be yelled at by you if I don't have money?" That waiter had been sitting at the front desk for the entire day and had been busy all day. Seeing someone provoke him, he couldn't help but get angry. "What? You don't have any money and you still want to be unreasonable?" GMO was furious. "You slave, how dare you talk to me like that?" At this time, the shopkeeper, who had been calculating the accounts, put down his abacus and walked over. "Guest, please calm down." This young man didn't know any better, and his words weren't pleasant to hear. "However, we are running a small business, and without money, we are unable to register. Please understand." When the same words came out of the mouth of an old man, it was more or less comforting. Although loneliness was a little unforgiving, he could not find a place to vent his anger. However, he said, "If I don't have money, can I buy on credit?" That old shopkeeper smiled apologetically. "If you're a regular customer, it's not a big deal to buy on credit once. However, you three look unfamiliar. You seem to have just come to my orderly mountain prefecture, right? Since it's the first time, I don't dare to take the risk to buy on credit." "Unfamiliar the first time, familiar the second time. Are you afraid that we won't pay?" Loneliness said casually. When the old shopkeeper saw that this young man with thick eyebrows and big eyes was somewhat mischievous, he immediately smiled apologetically to Qin Wushuang and said, "Guest, please understand. We are running a small business and cannot take the risk." Qin Wushuang was not willing to bully the weak as he said to Loneliness and Bao Bao, "Let's go pawn some things and see if we can exchange them for some crystal stones." Hearing Qin Wushuang's words, Loneliness finally let it go. He swore, "Darn it, what a broken shop. When I have money, I will not stay in your lousy shop." Bao Bao was also filled with righteous indignation as he added, "Even if we were to sleep on the streets, we would not stay in this lousy shop." When that shop assistant heard his words, he could not help but chuckle. With a face full of disdain and contempt, he glanced at Qin Wushuang and the other two as if he was sizing up country bumpkins. He only sneered. That old shopkeeper also shook his head with a bitter smile. Apparently, he also saw that these three were newcomers and did not even have the basic knowledge. When Qin Wushuang saw their reaction, he knew that something was wrong here. When one was outside, it would not be wrong to ask more questions. It would not be wrong to ask more questions. At the moment, he asked humbly, "Shopkeeper, to tell you the truth, us three brothers came from a country village. It's our first time coming to the state capital, and we do not know the rules. Why did you only sneer when my brother said those words? Is there something wrong?" When that old shopkeeper saw Qin Wushuang being polite, he finally opened his mouth to speak. "Young man, I already saw that it's your first time coming here. This state capital is not like your country village. Inside the state capital, it's risky to sleep on the streets. Not to mention the snitch street. Even the city defense army will catch you if they find you sleeping on the streets during their night patrol. Even if you do not lose your life, it's normal to lock you up for 3 to 5 days." Qin Wushuang realized the light and understood even more clearly that although the management of this state capital appeared lax from the outside, inside the city, each circle was strictly managed. Qin Wushuang cupped his hands in a salute. "Thank you for your advice. Us three brothers will go and pawn some things." When they walked out of the inn, Lone said angrily, "Boss, what's the point of wasting your breath talking to this group of slaves? Let's beat them up and see if they will let us stay." Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh and knew that this was the difference between the beast clan and the human race. In the human society, each circle had its own rules and order. However, the beast clan did not have so many rules to follow. If they encountered something that did not go their way, they would use violence to solve it. "Lone, this is called being a gentleman. Wouldn't it be lowering our status if we got angry with those people?" Bao Bao had his own opinion. Qin Wushuang laughed. "This is not about being a gentleman. It's because there is always an order in the world. If we were to live in an overlord's shop and eat without paying, it would be a complete mess. We would be no different than shameless bandits. I am afraid that if we stay here for a day, trouble will come endlessly. We are not afraid of trouble, but there is no need for us to provoke trouble. Most importantly, there is no need to provoke trouble for these little things." Lone was an arrogant and untamed person. However, after some thought, he also felt that Qin Wushuang's words made sense. If they had to go through trouble for such little things as food and lodging, then they would not have any peace of mind along the way. The three of them turned through 2 main streets and saw a giant pawn in front of them. Qin Wushuang laughed. "Let's see if this pawn shop in the Xianyuan Mound has the same market price." Just when they were about to walk in, suddenly, Qin Wushuang stopped his footsteps. Inwardly, he cried out bitterly. Suddenly, he remembered that he did not have anything extra on him. Last time, when he had returned to the heavenly royal mansion in the Bayou country, he had already cleaned up all the extra items on him, whether it was equipment or weapons. Currently, he did not have anything extra on him. Initially, during the battle at the Red Maple Human Clan, Qin Wushuang had not taken any equipment from those people besides Yi Wentong's equipment to give to Lin Dian. "Boss, what's wrong?" Qin Wushuang said with a bitter smile. "It seems that we don't have any extra equipment or weapons to pawn here. If we want pawn, we can only pawn that 9 reversal sun pill." Qin Wushuang did have 6 9 reversal sun pills. Initially, he only had 1 left from the few that his teacher Tan Zhongqi had given him. However, after he had killed Zhu Dazhong at the Monkey King Mountain, he had acquired 5 9 reversal sun pills. Since he had never used them again, he had 6. Thinking about Zhu Dazhong, Qin Wushuang suddenly remembered that Zhu Dazhong's storage ring had always been inside his storage bag and had never been used. This item could replace the storage bag and empty it out. When he thought here, Qin Wushuang had an idea. Instantly, he used a hidden method to take out that storage ring and wore it on his finger. At the same time, he emptied out all the things inside the storage bag and put them into the storage ring. After he had finished everything, Qin Wushuang called out to Bao Bao and the others with a smile. As they walked closer to the pawn shop, that shopkeeper raised his eyebrows lightly. These 2 eyebrows that seemed to be able to talk fully displayed the profiteering nature of a pawn shop owner. Customer, what good things do you want to pawn? Qin Wushuang did not speak any nonsense and put that storage bag on top. How many crystal stones can this storage bag be worth? That shopkeeper twirled his handlebar mustache and laughed mischievously. How much money can this thing be worth? It's a common commodity and not worth much. Qin Wushuang's expression turned cold. How could he not know that this shopkeeper was trying to bargain with him maliciously? Even if this storage bag was not a good thing, at least it would not fall to the level of a common commodity. After all, in the human countries, only the patriarch of a sect could own a storage bag. For the younger generation, even people at the level of Wei, Yi, and Zhou Fu did not own such an object. If Qin Wushuang did not need some crystal stones, he would not have come to this pawn shop to suffer. A single penny could stump a hero. It was the first time in his life that Qin Wushuang was troubled by money problems. Before this, he had never encountered such an embarrassing situation. He had never thought that money would become a problem. And now, at the Xian Yuan Mound, he finally understood what it meant to be unable to move an inch without money. When Lone saw Qin Wushuang's expression darken, he immediately cried out, "Old man, do you have eyes? You dare to say that such good storage equipment is a common commodity? Come out." That shopkeeper only sneered. "Why are you calling me out? Come out and walk on the main road. See if you can pick one up for me. Darn it, this is not how you bully people. Do you believe that I will burn down your King shop?" That shopkeeper said leisurely, "I don't believe you." Lone shouted angrily as he rolled up his sleeves. "Boss, don't stop me this time. I will definitely burn down his King shop." Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. "Shopkeeper, it's nothing new for you to open a pawn shop and earn money with evil intentions. However, if you think us three brothers are easy to bully, then you've made the wrong decision. You said that this storage bag is a common commodity. I will go ask at other pawn shops. If they don't say this, then I will come to reason with you." Although these words were not harsh, there was a faint trace of anger in them. And those who did business always bullied the weak and feared the strong. Seeing Qin Wushuang acting like this, they became soft. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 425. After being intimidated by their imposing manner, the shopkeeper seemed to have understood that these three people were not easy to bluff. He could only take advantage of the situation and say, "All right, those are the rules of our trade. To be honest, this storage bag of yours really can't be considered precious. It seems that you guys are in need of money. I will give you 30 gold crystal stones. This is a friendly price. If it were someone else, at most I would give you 15. Qin Wushuang calculated that although 30 gold crystal stones were not a huge sum, it was enough for 10 days or 8 months. At the moment, he was too lazy to bargain as he put the storage bag on the counter. "As you say, 30 gold crystal stones. Boss, aren't we letting this grandson get away with it?" Lone was still unconvinced. Qin Wushuang was rather carefree. "Wu Yin, no need to say any more, it's settled." He knew that Lone had a fiery temper, and this matter was not worth mentioning. That shopkeeper took out 30 gold crystal stones obediently. Then, he took out the list and prepared to write a receipt. Qin Wushuang waved his hand. "I will not redeem this thing. Who would have the patience to write a receipt with you?" After he had finished speaking, he took away those gold crystal stones and left. "Haha, boss, you have money now? Let's find a place to drink." Bao Bao was an optimistic person. As long as he had money, he would want to enjoy it. When he saw Lone was still somewhat angry, Bao Bao joked. "I say, Senior Lone, you get angry no matter who you see. It seems you have not integrated into the human life at all. It's not worth arguing over such trivial matters." Qin Wushuang also laughed when he saw Lone frowning. "Lone, it seems you still need to learn from Bao Bao. The human world is completely different from a beast clan. When you have integrated for a long time, you will know that such matters are not worth mentioning." Lone gave a long sigh. "I am not angry. I just wanted to beat them up when I saw their faces." Bao Bao laughed. "You can kill them with one punch. Then, trouble will come. So be it. What's there to be afraid of? GMO was quite a hoodlum. However, Bao Bao said lazily, Senior Lone, I will not do it if you are looking for trouble for this little matter. Do you think you'll be able to live a peaceful life? All right, there's no need to quarrel. Let's find a place and have a few drinks. Qin Wushuang had previously experienced the depression of not having enough money. Now that he had money, he naturally would not be careless. Just as the three of them left the street, two figures appeared from the corner of the street. Looking at the backs of Qin Wushuang and the others from afar, the two men carefully memorized the appearances of Qin Wushuang and the others. Hook, did you see it clearly? These three fellows were fat sheep. Quickly go and report to the hallmaster. If we can slaughter these 3 fat lambs, we won't have to worry about food for the next 3 to 5 years. I saw it clearly. Brother Biao, you keep an eye on them. I'll report this to the hallmaster. Go quickly, that Brother Biao urged, and then said, I'll go and see where they went. Don't let the fat sheep walk out of our green tree gang's territory. Qin Wushuang did not expect that as soon as they had arrived at the Ironwood State City, they were targeted by the local tyrant. In the Ironwood State City, this Green Tree Gang belonged to the unrated powerhouse mentioned by the Silver Monkey King. The so-called unrated did not mean that they were completely useless. Only, compared to the vast Xian Yuan Mound, they could not enter the mainstream. Although they could not enter the mainstream, even if they were a little tributary, they still possessed great power in a place like the State City. Not to mention, this Green Tree Gang was between the third-rate and the unrated powerhouse. To say that they were strong was not the same. However, to say that they were weak in the Ironwood State City, they could be counted as a tyrant. The three of them found a restaurant and ordered some exquisite dishes. They ordered 3 big jugs of wine and drank to their heart's content. Although this meal was not luxurious, it had cost them 2 gold crystal stones. Out of the 3 jugs of wine, Lone had drunk 2 of them. When he walked out of the restaurant, even his tongue had become somewhat big. Bao Bao could not help but laugh. Of course, he knew that for sure. It was Lone's first time drinking. In the past, with the ferocious appearance of the purple flame electric beast, it was impossible for him to drink at the banquet. Now that he had refined his human form, it was his first time drinking. After drinking so much, it was already good that he could still walk and not fall down. Bao Bao laughed. Senior Lone, I didn't expect you to hold your liquor well. Lone laughed loudly. Of course, don't you see who I am? Qin Wushuang said in a low voice. You too, don't call me by the old names. Remember, one of you is Wu Yuan, and the other is Wu Yan. Wu Yan is the second, and Wu Yuan is the third. Bao Hao laughed. Haha, boss, I forgot. While they were walking, suddenly, Lone's eyes stared straight at a group of dirty men under a bridge. They were burning a fire to keep themselves warm. They were also holding iron rods to skewer something. They were roasting it on the fire and emitted waves of smoke. Boss, I didn't expect that there would be beggars in the Xian Yuan Mound. Lone's tongue was somewhat big, and he could not speak clearly. How could there not be beggars? Bao Bao did not find it strange. Although this Xian Yuan Mound was a forbidden spiritual zone, after all, there were more ordinary people. Only, among the countless ordinary people, the Xian Yuan Mound nurtured elite warriors that were 10 times or even 100 times more than the human countries. Suddenly, Lone had an idea as he said to Qin Wushuang, Boss, can you give me 3 or 5 gold crystal stones? Bao Bao laughed. Second, in the past you were a murderous maniac. Could it be that today you have developed a kind heart and plan to deliver all living things from torment? Lone cried out, Go to hell with delivering all living things from torment. Bao Bao, I will put on a good show for you. Finished speaking with lightning speed, he scuttled to the side of the bridge and called out to the several beggars. You lot, you stay here. Do you want to eat delicious food? Do you want to stay in a clean inn? Do you want to sleep on a comfortable bed? Those beggars were stunned for a moment. They glanced at Lone with numb eyes and turned around. They had ignored Lone's question. One of them whispered, This drunkard ate too much horse piss and came to amuse us. Lone did not get angry when he heard this. He continued to speak loudly. You poor people, listen well. Today I have a lot of money and no place to spend it. Seeing how pitiful you guys are, I will treat you to a meal at a restaurant and a stay at an inn. Don't tell me you don't need it. After this village, you won't have it again." After he had finished speaking, he tossed a few gold crystal stones in his hand. Instantly, the eyes of those beggars had changed. They gathered together and started to discuss in a low voice. "Could it be this drunkard is crazy? It seems that he is somewhat crazy, but that yellow crystal stone is genuine. Why don't we test it out?" Lone only sneered when he heard their discussion. "Test what? Follow me. I will not lie to you guys." When Qin Wushuang saw Lone's actions, he instantly understood his intentions. Inwardly, he smiled bitterly. Unexpectedly, although this Lone had not integrated into the human society, he had already learned to use methods other than violence to vent his anger. When those beggars saw that Lone was speaking the truth, they all cheered and tossed the things in their hands. He quickly ran after GMO. When they arrived at the entrance of that inn, Lone turned around and said, "You guys wait here and don't show yourselves. I'm going to ask." Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao only smiled. They knew that Lone would not feel good if he did not vent his anger. They would rather let him play. After he had played enough, his anger would be appeased. Lone turned around and walked towards that inn. That old shopkeeper was fiddling with the abacus under the light and continued to calculate his debts. That waiter was holding his cheeks and waiting for the closing time. When he saw Lone walk in, a trace of a mocking smile emerged from the corner of his mouth. Yet he did not open his mouth and only looked at him coldly. The expression on his face clearly said that it would be useless to talk to a poor guy for the countryside if he had no money. Lone asked loudly, "Kid, let me ask you, you can't stay if you don't have money, right?" That waiter sneered. "That's right, if you don't have money, not to mention you're the boss. Even if you were the boss, he would not let you stay." Lone sneered. "Then if you have money, even your grandson can stay, right?" "That's right, if you have money, you're the boss. I promise to serve you well. Money is enough. Anyone can stay, right?" Lone asked coldly. "That's right, do you have money?" That waiter asked with ridicule. "Huh." Lone slapped the 5 gold crystal stones in his hand. 7 single rooms. That waiter was a little surprised when he threw out the money, but he immediately regained his composure and smiled embarrassedly. "What are you trying to show off? Who hasn't seen this amount of money before? Cut the crap, get the rooms," Lone urged. The waiter stretched out his hand and picked 3 out of the 5 gold crystal ores. 30 silver crystal ores for a single room. 3 times 721. 7 rooms is 210 silver crystal stones. I will take 3 gold crystal stones from you and give you 90 silver crystal stones. When we do business, we don't cheat the old or the young. We don't bully the countrymen. Then, he threw out 7 room cards with 7 keys on them. Lone sneered. "Why are you in such a hurry to give me the change? The remaining money should be enough to prepare a table of food, right? Doesn't your inn have a restaurant?" "That's easy, just wait." That waiter seemed to be serious about Lone. From the beginning to the end, there was a trace of ridicule. Lone sneered, "The few of you come in." Those beggars heard Lone's call and all squeezed in. When the 7 of them walked in, the hall of the inn was filled with a complicated smell. The smell was very complicated. It smelled like a pickled cabbage jar that had been soaked for a few months. It smelled like a dead dog that had been rotting for 10 days to half a month. It also smelled like the sweat of not bathing for a few years, and the rotten smell of food in the garbage. All kinds of smells were added together to form this unique stench. Suddenly, the whole hall was filled with an indescribable smell. That waiter was dumbfounded. He covered his nose, his throat moved, and he retched on the spot. This stench was simply too overwhelming. Those beggars smiled mischievously and only urged, "Kind sir, where's the good food? Where's the big, comfortable bed?" Lone lazily pointed at that waiter. "He will arrange it for you." This is what he said, "The rich are the masters. I guarantee that you will be served comfortably. I will pay for you. You can enjoy the master-level service. Don't be shy, just enjoy it. Don't waste my money." Those beggars beamed with joy. They all cheered. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 426. After Lone's ruckus, everyone from the shopkeeper to the waiter of the inn complained incessantly. And Lone was laughing. Especially when he saw that waiter's deflated expression, he felt even more joyful. Qin Wushuang was also helpless. He knew Lone's personality. He would not suffer for the night. Inwardly, he would not feel at ease if he did not vent his frustrations. After this ruckus, he felt much better. Of course, after this ruckus, they could no longer stay at that inn. They could only find another inn. Bao Bao laughed. Second, I didn't see that you know how to use your brain. There was a trace of pride on the corner of the purple flame electric beast's mouth. When he walked, his back was much straighter as he laughed. I always know how to use my brain, all right? He found another inn. With the crystals, everything would be different. Immediately, the three of them arranged everything properly. At one of the branch of the Green Tree Gang, that little servant named Hook was reporting to his hall master about the information they had gathered. Hall Master Xiao, we saw it clearly. That guy was changing his equipment at the door of the pawn shop. He put the things from a storage bag into a space ring. After that, he pawned the storage bag. Hook described everything that he had seen in detail. Who are these people? Hall Master Xiao had an elegant appearance and dressed like a scholar. However, when he rolled his eyes, he still revealed a trace of a local bandit. They are three young men. The oldest is no more than 25 years old. There's also a young man who can't be more than 15 years old. Hook described with a smile of exultation. From his many years of experience, most likely, such people were young and inexperienced people. Perhaps they came from wealthy families and wanted to make a name for themselves. Therefore, in their eyes, such a person was a fat sheep. They didn't discover you guys, right? Hall Master Xiao asked cautiously. Ah, great Hall Master. It's not like you don't know that we are sentries on the other side of the wall. From that angle, only we could see them. They would not know us. Hook appeared to be confident. Hall Master Xiao nodded. Okay, they have a space ring. They are indeed fat sheep. However, before we know their identities, we can only take their wealth and not their lives. Hook nodded obediently. Clan Master Xiao, should we inform clan leader? Or do you think you can do it yourself? Hall Master Xiao smiled faintly. Why would we bother the gang leader with such a small matter? One trip is enough for me. This matter, you and Biao Zi have to keep a secret. If Hall Master Xiao was experienced, he might have gone to ask the clan leader for advice. However, according to the intelligence, the other party was a junior who had just come out of the woodwork. It was inevitable that Hall Master Xiao would have some crooked thoughts. He decided to leave the gang leader behind and act alone. He had been looking forward to a spatial ring for many years. He hadn't been able to obtain it all this time. Now that he had such a heaven-sent opportunity, how could he miss it? Hook had been Hall Master Xiao's trusted aide for many years, so he immediately understood that Hall Master Xiao wanted to pocket this business that had been delivered to his doorstep. He tactfully said, "Rest assured, Hall Master Xiao, this subordinate will definitely keep his mouth shut." Hall Master Xiao was very satisfied. The two of you are my trusted aides. I won't mistreat you after this. Hook's eyes flashed with a hint of flattery. Many thanks, Hall Master Xiao. Hall Master Xiao nodded. All right, there's no time to lose. Let's go take a look. Look for Biao Zi and don't lose track of him. Hook said, Hall Master Xiao, Biao Zi's best tracking ability won't lose track of him. Those three fellows don't look like experienced people. Otherwise, they wouldn't have fallen to the point of being a family asset. Hall Master Xiao said seriously, whether they are experienced or not, we can't let our guard down. In the Ironwood State capital, our Green Tree Gang is one of the top. However, if the target walks out of our sphere of influence, it won't be easy to handle. Or if they're targeted by an even stronger power, we can only relent on this piece of meat. The Green Tree Gang was one of the top in the Ironwood State capital, but it was definitely not the strongest. It could only be considered an overlord in the state capital. This Hall Master Xiao was only a small Hall Master. Above him, There were elders, protectors, and even more so, the clan leader. Thus, his position was not considered the core of the Green Tree Gang. Because of this, in many cases, he was in dire need of resources. For example, he had longed for this space ring for a long time and had never owned it. Therefore, this time, he was even more determined to get this fat piece of meat. With a creak, the door was pushed open. Bao Bao walked closer and looked at Qin Wushuang, who was meditating on the bed. He laughed. "Boss, you are so hard-working. It's late at night. Why don't you rest early?" Qin Wushuang did not open his eyes and said with a light smile, "I am resting." Bao Bao approached the door, pushed open the window, and looked around. Then, he wandered around the room a few times. He carried a strange smile on the corner of his mouth. Qin Wushuang seemed to be able to see Bao Bao's expression without opening his eyes. "Bao Bao, do you have something to say?" Bao Bao laughed. "Boss, it seems you also sensed it?" Qin Wushuang laughed. "If those dirty tricks could hide from us, then let's not go to this Xian Yuan mound." Those two little servants of the Green Tree Gang thought they had hidden themselves well and would not be discovered by watching through the wall. They did not know that Bao Bao was at the Void Marshal stage. Qin Wushuang's powerful spiritual perception did not lose to elite warriors at the Void Marshal stage. Thus, despite being separated by the wall, he had sensed them clearly. Only, Qin Wushuang did not put such Jianghu bandits in his heart. However, at this moment, he had clearly sensed that those dirty thieves were not willing to let them go. One of them had dared to follow them all the way here and stepped on the tiger's head. Hearing Qin Wushuang's words, Bao Bao also laughed. "Boss, did you discover them at the pawn shop?" "Yes, this Xian Yuan mound is truly not ordinary. Even if they are dirty thieves, they are at the upper sky spiritual martial force. It seems they are not ordinary thieves. For sure, they are local snakes. A lone freelance thief would not dare to have such guts. They dared to come out with that little strength." Qin Wushuang's analysis was reasonable and well-founded. Bao Bao said, "Boss, should I go drag that kid over and ask him?" Qin Wushuang gave a cold sneer. "Ask what? Don't ask, it would make things easier. For sure, that kid is a scout. The real big fish is not here yet." As soon as he had finished speaking, suddenly, Bao Bao raised his brow. Apparently, he had sensed something. Then, a trace of a smile emerged from the corner of his mouth. "This person is not worth thinking about. He's here." Qin Wushuang also sensed it almost at the same time as he nodded. "He's here." Then he instructed, "Go and tell second brother not to act blindly without thinking. As soon as he makes a move, for sure, blood will flow like a river." "Okay." Bao Bao walked out of the room and headed directly towards Lone. "Manor Master Xiao, I have already inquired. Those three people all live on the east side of the third floor. The three of them have their own rooms and don't live together." That Biaozi also reported the situation in detail. After a moment of silence, Manor Master Xiao said with a cold sneer, "Okay, you two wait downstairs and don't let anyone disturb them. I will go up and serve them myself." After he had finished speaking, this Manor Master Xiao twisted his body and scuttled upstairs. His speed was fast and his movement technique was light. This was no small matter. It showed that he was quite strong. This Manor Master Xiao was also an elite warrior at the advanced stage. With this level of cultivation, he would definitely be considered an expert in the human countries. However, in this Ironwood State City, he would not be ranked in the top 50. Manor Master Zhao's light body was a strong point. He landed without a sound, and his body was almost as light as a piece of leaf. He slowly landed on the corridor. With a wave of his hand, a thin bamboo tube appeared. Inside this bamboo tube was the Green Tree Gang's must-kill knockout drug, Bewitching Scent. All elite warriors of the spiritual martial force would faint as soon as they smelled this scent. Even elite warriors at the refined Void Martial stage would faint for a moment if they breathed in a few mouthfuls. This knockout drug did not have any fatal power, yet it could make people feel dizzy and drowsy. The Green Tree Gang was a gang that existed by stealing chickens and dogs. Naturally, the business they did was extremely despicable. As long as there was profit to be made, There was nothing the Green Tree Gang would not do. After Manor Master Xiao had figured out the direction, that bamboo tube seemed to know magic. Suddenly, the opening at the front became flat and as thin as a piece of paper. Slowly, it extended into the gap of the window. Whoosh! He puffed his cheeks lightly, and a wave of air gushed out from his mouth. According to common sense, the mind enchantment incense hidden in the bamboo tube would be blown into the room by him. However, what he had expected did not happen. On the contrary, when he puffed out this breath, it was as if he was blowing into a closed and open pipe. There was no reaction when he puffed it out. How is this possible? Manor Master Xiao was astonished. He puffed up his cheeks and blew out another breath. When he puffed out this breath, it seemed as if he had hit a wall of air. When the air collided with it, it rushed back. With this rush, that Manor Master Xiao only felt a wave of coolness in his mouth. Next, he smelled a familiar and desperate scent. No! Instantly, Manor Master Xiao knew that something was wrong. Clearly, the bewitching scent was flowing backwards. Only once this air flow flowed backwards, it immediately entered his mouth and nose. With a rapid speed, it continued to spread to his limbs and bones. In the blink of an eye, this Manor Master Xiao felt dizzy. His legs went soft, and he lost consciousness. As soon as the window was pushed open, Qin Wushuang grabbed that bamboo tube with one hand and threw that Manor Master Xiao into the room with the other. He called out softly, "Third, go downstairs and catch those two servants. Don't hurt them." Receiving the order, Bao Bao rushed downstairs with a whoosh. With an elite warrior like Bao Bao stepping out, naturally, it was easy to deal with those two little minions. Before those two guys could understand what was going on, Bao Bao flipped them over and lifted them up. Qin Wushuang sealed the mute acupoints of these two and said with a cold sneer, "You two have been thinking about us since this evening. You're still thinking about us in the middle of the night?" Hearing Qin Wushuang's words, those two were scared witless. They knew that from the beginning to the end, someone had seen through their disguise. When they looked to the side and saw Manor Master Xiao lying on the ground like a pile of mud, they were even more scared out of their wits. They opened their mouths and wanted to speak. However, they realized that they could not even utter a word. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 427. Qin Wushuang was not in a rush to speak. However, Bao Bao pretended to be fierce. "Don't you have eyes? You dare to scheme against us. Do you know where we came from?" With a miserable expression, those two only shook their heads and begged for mercy from their eyes. Qin Wushuang opened his mouth and said with a neither salty nor mild tone, "Tell me, where did you guys come from?" He unlocked the mute acupoints of these two. Those two understood the situation and did not dare to cry out loudly. At this time, it would be useless even if they cried out. Qin Wushuang and his friends were already prepared as they had set up a wall of air in the surrounding space. The airflow formed by the sound could not rush out of this room. Those two exchanged a glance and did not know how to answer. Qin Wushuang said lightly, "I will give you guys a chance to speak the truth. It's because you guys do not deserve to die. It's up to you guys whether or not you can seize this opportunity." Since they were not familiar with this place, Qin Wushuang did not wish to make unnecessary enemies. It would take a long time to reach the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. It would be unnecessary to kill them for such a little friction. Hearing the words of Qin Wushuang, instantly, a hesitant look flashed across the eyes of those two. "Speak. Our boss doesn't like to listen to nonsense, and he doesn't like to hear lies. If it's nonsense or lies, you guys will reach the end of your life," Bao Bao said threateningly in a serious manner. Feeling helpless, those two looked at each other and expected the other to speak. When Qin Wushuang saw that they were unwilling to give up, he pointed to that Hook and said, "You answer." With a bitter face, Hook could only answer truthfully, "Young master, we truly have eyes but cannot see. However, We truly did not intend to harm you guys. We only wanted to use knockout powder to knock you guys out and steal your things. We never thought of harming your lives." Bao laughed coldly. "Harming our lives? Just based on the few of you? Stop with the nonsense. Which powerhouse of the Ironwood State City do you guys belong to?" Hook and Biao Zi exchanged a look, and Biao Zi cried, "Don't look at me. Tell me the truth." In any case, the Green Tree Gang was doing this kind of shady business in the Ironwood State City. It wasn't too shameful to say it out loud. Hook could only timidly say, "We are from the Ironwood State City, the Green Tree Gang." "Who is that guy?" Qin Wushuang pointed to the unconscious hall master Xiao. That's our branch hall master." Hook had no choice but to tell the truth. Qin Wushuang laughed involuntarily. Hall master? It was a fish that was neither too big nor too small. "Apart from the hall master, what other impressive figures do you have in the Green Tree Gang?" "That's a lot." When Hook mentioned the Green Tree Gang, he immediately perked up. "In our Green Tree Gang, there are elders, protectors, and gang leaders." Qin Wushuang sneered. "There's a gang leader? What's the name of your leader? What's his cultivation level?" Hook said with a long face, "Our leader is called Zhou Guangshu. He is an elite warrior at the refined void martial stage. In the Ironwood State City, he is also an exceptional figure. In the entire Xianyuan Mound, the Ironwood State City was not worth mentioning. If one were to compare the Xianyuan Mound to the Bayou Country, then at most, the Ironwood State City would be equivalent to a county in the Bayou Country. The Ironwood State City was only a state under one of the territories under the Orderly Mountain Prefecture. Then, in such a small place, there were elite warriors at the refined void martial stage. And from the sound of it, this elite warrior at the refined void martial stage was not the strongest existence in the Ironwood State. Zhou Guangshu. Qin Wushuang mulled over this name and asked in a low voice, "In the Ironwood State City, how many people are more powerful than your gang leader, Zhou Guangshu?" Before outsiders, Hook did not want to lose face for his own family. After some thought, he said, "Just 3 or 5. "Is it 3 or 5? Bao Bao asked fiercely. "Answer honestly. Don't play tricks. If you lie, with a snap sound, I will break your necks." Hook couldn't help but shudder as he hurriedly explained, "About 7 or 8 of them." Qin Wushuang said, "Is the strongest?" "Of course, the strongest is Tai Meng from the Ironwood Gate. His strength is much higher than the others. He is publicly recognized as an elite warrior at the Transformation Void Martial stage." When Hook talked about this Tai Meng, there was a trace of admiration. He did not dare to show any disrespect in his words. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang felt apprehensive. Even this state city had elite warriors at the Transformation Void Martial stage. Then, wouldn't the royal city of a territory and the capital city of a prefecture have even higher levels of elite warriors? When he thought here, Qin Wushuang did not dare to neglect. However, for this Green Tree Gang, after some consideration, Qin Wushuang knew that they were not people he could not afford to offend. Only, at this moment, Qin Wushuang did not want to complicate matters. After thinking for a while, he slowly nodded. "Your Green Tree Gang should be considered a local bully in the Ironwood State City. Normally, you must have done many such things and made a lot of ill-gotten gains. Since the 3 of you have fallen into my hands, according to the rules, your Green Tree Gang should pay the ransom." When Hook and Biao Zi heard these words, they both groaned in pain. How could they not know their position? If it was anything else, it would be fine. Falling into the hands of the enemy was a sign of incompetence. In a Green Tree Gang, such a situation was very embarrassing, not to mention paying the ransom. Most likely, the upper echelons of the Green Tree Gang would not lose face and pay the ransom. Even if they paid the ransom, they would still have to suffer greatly. Hook hurriedly begged for mercy. "Young master, hero, we did not have eyes and did not see clearly where you came from. We deserve to die. If you want to ransom us, please name a price. If we can afford it, we will give you the full amount. Do not disturb our gang leader about this matter. Otherwise, we will be punished by the family rules for not doing our job well." The family rules were secondary. They acted on their own and did not report to their superiors when they had a big fat sheep. That was an act of dominance and did not conform to the rules of the Green Tree Gang. This was the fatal part. Acting on their own, without the gang leader's permission, once discovered, it was an act of betraying the sect and destroying the ancestors. The family rules they received would not be as simple as physical pain. They would directly end up with 3 knives and 6 holes. Qin Wushuang did not intend to disturb the Green Tree Gang. Since this guy said so, it was naturally to his liking. However, the more this guy said so, the more Qin Wushuang could grasp his psychological weakness. He laughed coldly. "I will tie you up at the entrance of this inn and wait for your gang leader to come and ransom you." Hook and Biao Zi's faces immediately turned pale. They knelt on the ground and kowtowed continuously. "Hero, please don't. Our whole leader will definitely be able to afford the ransom." Qin Wushuang deliberately glanced at Hall Leader Xiao. He can't even protect himself now. How can he afford it? Hook hurriedly said, "As long as our Hall Leader wakes up, he will definitely bear the ransom. He was drugged with his own knockout powder. How can I wake him up?" Qin Wushuang smiled. Drugged by his own knockout powder? Hook and Biao Zi looked at each other. It was not like they had not experienced how Hall Leader Xiao handled matters. He had always been cautious and rarely made mistakes. Even if he was unfortunate enough to meet an expert, he would not be drugged by his own knockout powder. "Speak. What kind of knockout powder did he use? Is there an antidote?" Hook was dumbstruck. He only reacted after a long time and nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Yes. Hall Leader used mind confusion powder. He always carries the antidote with him. Qin Wushuang said indifferently, "Go and find it." Hook hurriedly walked over as if he had been granted amnesty after receiving permission. Both parties trembled as they searched Hall Leader Zhao's body. In a few moments, they had found a few small bottles. They put the other small bottles back. Only that little blue bottle was placed next to Hall Leader Zhao's nose. He used his fingernail to pick out a bit of powder and flicked it into Hall Leader Zhao's nose. This antidote was rather miraculous, as it was flicked in the blink of an eye. That Hall Leader Xiao sneezed and slowly opened his eyes. When he saw the unfamiliar faces of Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao, that Hall Leader Xiao immediately stood up with a face full of alertness. As soon as the antidote of the mind confusion powder was removed, although his body still felt somewhat weak, it did not affect him much. Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao seemed to be unrestrained as they did not have any excessive reaction. They only looked at that Hall Leader Xiao with a cold sneer and were not in a rush to speak. The more calm they appeared, the less confidence that Hall Leader Xiao had. How could he not know that this time he had bumped into a tough nut? Hall Leader. Hook shot a glance at that Hall Leader Xiao to indicate that the enemies before them were powerful and they could not afford to offend them. Initially, Hall Leader Xiao still had some hope. However, when he saw Hook's glance, instantly, all his thoughts turned to ashes. He gave a long sigh and asked dispiritedly, "You too this time? I admit defeat," Bao Bao said with an eccentric tone. "Admit defeat? You should have the sincerity to admit defeat." Hall Leader Xiao said miserably, "What do you guys plan to do with us?" "Of course we will tie you guys up and wait for your leader of the Green Tree Gang to come and ransom you." Instantly, Hall Leader Zhao's face looked as if he had been bitten by a poisonous snake as the muscles on his face twitched rapidly. If the leader knew about this matter, for sure, the leader would know that he had left the leader and acted on his own. By that time, what awaited him would be a death sentence of 3 knives and 6 holes. Hook immediately said, "Hero, our Hall Leader Xiao is a responsible figure. He said he admitted defeat, so he must have the sincerity. For this matter, our Hall Leader Xiao can bear the responsibility. No need to disturb our leader." "Is that so?" Qin Wushuang spoke lightly. "How much responsibility can a little Hall Leader have?" Hall Leader Xiao asked miserably. "Excuse me, how much responsibility do you guys need?" Bao Bao laughed mischievously. "Recently, we are a bit short on money." Hall Leader Xiao immediately said, "That's easy. I am willing to compensate you guys with 100 gold crystal stones. 100? Bao Bao calculated that he had only pawned 30 gold crystal stones for that storage bag. This manor master, Xiao, had asked for 100 gold crystal stones right away. He was not stingy, just when he was about to ask Qin Wushuang for his opinion. Then, he heard Qin Wushuang's cold sneer. The three of you, your 3 lives, are only worth 100 gold crystal stones. Hall leader Xiao gritted his teeth. 200. Qin Wushuang still shook his head casually. This time, he was not even willing to speak. However, Hook and Biaozi looked at Hall leader Xiao with a nervous expression. They were also worried about personal gains and losses. On one hand, they hoped that Hall leader Xiao would raise the price. On the other hand, they were worried that they would lose favor with Hall leader Xiao if this loss was too great. However, if the price was not high enough and the other party was not moved, they would inform the leader to come and get them. Needless to say, the ending would be as miserable as it could be. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 428. Hall Master Xiao knew that such a price would never satisfy the other party's appetite. He clenched his teeth and growled. Fine, the two of you name a price. If this Xiao can afford it, even if I have to sell my pots and pans, I will still pay. Qin Wushuang smiled and still did not speak. Instead, he looked up and down at Hall Master Xiao. This gaze was not to tease the other party. Rather, Qin Wushuang was deliberately using his gaze to destroy the other party's psychological defense. He wanted to make the other party's defense gradually collapse and thus maximize his side's benefits. After looking for a long time, Qin Wushuang's face slowly revealed a trace of a playful smile. Hall Master Xiao, you seem to be very unwilling for me to inform your clan leader, Zhou Guangshu. Hall Master Zhao's face turned red. He tilted his head and avoided Qin Wushuang's sharp gaze. That gaze seemed to be able to see through a person's heart. Although I don't know why you don't want me to inform your clan leader, I can see fear in your eyes. How much can this fear be worth? Qin Wushuang said with interest. You really want me to name a price? Qin Wushuang asked leisurely. Hall Master Xiao turned his face and said resolutely, you name a price. As long as I can afford it, I won't say another word. In any case, I'm definitely going to lose today. Fine, you're a straightforward person. Qin Wushuang extended a finger. 1,000 gold crystal stones, no bargaining. Once these words were spoken, Hook and Biaozi could not help but let out a soft cry. Their faces immediately became incomparably gloomy, as if they had heard a sentence of despair. 1,000 gold crystal stones. This price was far beyond their expectations. It should be known that normally, even if they were to fight in the dark, they would only receive a small income. At most, their income would not exceed 200 gold crystal stones. After all, those who came to the Ironwood State City were generally not very wealthy people. If a wealthy person came to the Ironwood State City, either they could not afford to offend him or they would not even have a chance to approach him. Therefore, 1,000 gold crystal stones to Hook and Biaozi was simply an astronomical figure. Hall Master Xiao wasn't scared silly by this price. He stood there dumbstruck. After hesitating for a moment, he suddenly clenched his teeth and said, Fine, 1,000 gold crystal stones. Allow me to raise some money. Qin Wushuang shook his head. No, we have to hand him over when we get the money. Hall Master Xiao said miserably, if I don't raise such a huge sum of money, I won't be able to take it out. You'll have to think of a way. Qin Wushuang said leisurely. Even if you can't, Zhou Guangshu will be able to. When I asked him for it, the result was the same. Hearing the gang leader's name, Hall Master Zhao's heart suddenly quivered. He looked at Hook and Biaozi and then said to Qin Wushuang, Then send one of them to find my wife. Ask her to gather 1,000 gold crystal stones to redeem me. Qin Wushuang looked at the two of them and asked, Which one of you is willing to go? Hook hurriedly volunteered, I'm willing. Qin Wushuang smiled and said, "Good. Third brother, go with him to prevent him from playing any tricks." When Hook heard that the other party was going to send someone to escort him, his heart instantly turned cold. However, since he had already spoken, how could he dare to refuse? He could only nod. However, Hall Master Xiao stopped Hook and warned, "Hook, don't tell the truth to my wife. Just tell her that I lost money in the casino and was detained by someone. She wants money to redeem me. Also, take this token of mine with you. Otherwise, she won't trust you." Hook nodded and replied, "Hall Master, I understand." Whether it was Hook or the Hall Master's wife, they were both very efficient when it came to Hall Master Zhao's safety. Although 1,000 gold crystal stones was not a small sum to a continent's capital, Hall Master Xiao had many ways to redeem himself. However, there were many ways for a Hall Master to amass wealth. It was not something that Hook and Biao Zi could fathom. The astronomical price in their eyes was still barely acceptable to Hall Master Xiao. Although this 1,000 gold crystal stones was a great loss, it wasn't enough to completely rob him of his wealth. Of course, the Hall Master's wife would complain about how poor they were, making it seem as if these 1,000 gold crystal stones were pieced together by selling everything they had. Initially, when Qin Wushuang spoke, he was prepared to let the other party bargain. However, he didn't think that the other party would agree. He didn't ask for an astronomical price. He also knew that although this 1,000 gold crystal stones didn't empty Hall Master Zhao's pockets, it was still a large cut of his flesh. Thus, he stopped while he was ahead and was happy to silently make a fortune. At the very least, after obtaining this 1,000 gold crystal stones, he would be able to solve many of his livelihood problems. He also knew that since Hall Master Xiao didn't dare to alert the leader of the Green Tree Gang, Zhou Guangshu, he would definitely suffer in silence. He also didn't have to worry about the Green Tree Gang's follow-up revenge. The next morning, when they were about to set out, he gathered the three people together and smiled. "Hall Master Xiao, thank you for your generous distribution of wealth this time. Next time, if we come to the Ironwood State, I hope we can receive your patronage again." Hall Master Zhao's face was ashen. He knew that most likely he had escaped death by luck. He immediately said, No. However, Bao Bao teased him, "Don't be afraid. If you don't have the guts, where are we going to make money? Such easy money is not easy to earn." Hall Master Xiao only smiled bitterly, and how could he dare to reply? He swallowed his teeth in blood. After they left the Ironwood State City, Bao Bao laughed when he remembered this matter. "Boss, this money is too easy to earn." However, the Purple Flame Electric Beast protested. "Boss, at least half of that money should be shared with me. Last night, you guys are having fun teasing those three guys. I was bored out of my mind as a sentry." Qin Wushuang laughed. "It's really hard on you." However, Bao Bao said, "Boss's money is our money. Why should it be shared between you and me?" All three of them laughed. Qin Wushuang opened the map and looked at it. Then he said, "The Orderly Mountain Prefecture is about 100,000 miles. We're not in a rush each day. The fastest is 5 or 6,000 miles, and the slowest is 3 or 4,000 miles. We will slow down when we pass through dangerous places. We will make it fast when we pass through flat areas." "Boss, you said that the strongest elite warrior in that little Ironwood State City is at the Transformation Void Martial stage. It seems that this Xian Yuan Mound is not ordinary. However, I just don't understand. Since they have an elite warrior at the Transformation Void Martial stage, why don't they go to a bigger stage? What's the meaning of hiding in a little state city?" Bao Bao was somewhat confused. In his opinion, those with strong strength should climb to a higher level. What could they achieve by hiding in a little state city? Qin Wushuang laughed. "You are still young and have a burst of ambition. Think about it. If that time Ming of the Ironwood State City is already a few hundred years old, would he still have such lofty ambitions? Perhaps he would want to consolidate his position in this little Ironwood State City and not get challenged. He would ensure that he would maintain his authority in this territory." The Purple Flame Electric Beast came over and said, "This is called everyone has their own ambitions. Some people like challenges. Some people like to be the overlord in their own territory. Not to mention humans. Many clans in the beast clans are also like this. While they were talking, the three of them had already arrived before a giant canyon. Again, Qin Wushuang opened a map and looked at it for a moment. Then he said to his friend, "After this canyon, we will arrive at the royal city of the Black Crow territory after another 2 or 3,000 miles. If we hurry today, perhaps we can arrive before dark." "Ha ha, the Black Crow royal city?" Bao Bao said excitedly. "Great, finally we can see a higher level city. If a state city has an elite warrior at the transformation void martial stage, then the royal city, one level higher than the state city, would also have an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage. I'm afraid they do." The purple flame electric beast gave a long sigh. After entering the Xian Yuan Mound, even someone as competitive as the purple flame electric beast had to admit that this Xian Yuan Mound was full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. They could run amok in the human countries. However, when they entered the territory of the Xian Yuan Mound, they had to be extra vigilant. Qin Wushuang sensed for a moment outside the canyon and did not detect any abnormalities. He waved his hand and said, "After entering this canyon, everyone must be extremely careful. Let's go." Bao Bao and the purple flame electric beast circled around Qin Wushuang from the left and right and started to move quickly. This canyon had thousands of twists and turns. While the three of them were running, a figure appeared from the mountain road ahead and rushed towards them at a fast speed. That person was only 17 or 18 years old and carried a person on his back. The person was even younger than this person and was a little girl. When this person saw Qin Wushuang and the other two, he immediately stopped his footsteps and stared at Qin Wushuang with vigilance. He grabbed with his right hand and pulled out a wind-splitting blade from his waist. At the same time, he tilted his head and said to the girl on his back, "Little sister, don't look. I will take you out." After slashing 2 blades in the air, this young man shouted like a mad tiger, "You 3 bandits, come at me if you have the guts. I am not afraid of you. Come, come. Let's go. Do you think I am afraid of you?" As the purple flame electric beast spoke, he was about to rush up. However, Qin Wushuang pulled him back. "Second, don't be impulsive." The purple flame electric beast laughed. "This kid is not thinking clearly. I just want to help him clear his head and slap him." However, Qin Wushuang said, "Little brother, we are only passing by and do not mean any hostility. There is no ambush ahead. If you want to go, then go quickly." That young man was stunned and said with disbelief, "Are you really not the accomplice of those dog bandits?" "What dog bandits?" Bao Bao felt somewhat confused. "We are not some bandits, but the enemies of the bandits, our nemesis." That young man sized Qin Wushuang and his 2 friends carefully. It seemed that he also felt that these 3 were different from those unreasonable bandits. At the moment, he forced out a smile. "Since you're not bandits, I was rude a moment ago. You 3, I am sorry." As he spoke, he put the wind-splitting blade to his waist, carried the girl on his back, and ran quickly. "Big brother, slow down. Since we are here, those dog bandits will not catch up to us. You are injured. If you keep running, the injury to your dantian will worsen." That girl also crawled on the young man's shoulder with a pale face. She spoke weakly and clearly. She was more injured than that young man. As Qin Wushuang looked at this pair of brother and sister, suddenly, he remembered how his sister cared for him when he was young. Wasn't it the same way this young man was looking at his sister? It was full of care as he viewed the other person as more important than his own life. This scene gave Qin Wushuang a familiar and intimate feeling. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 429. As soon as he thought here, he felt deeply moved. He took out a bottle and poured out 2 pills. "Little brother, if you trust me, take these 2 pills. 1 for each of you. It will help you heal your injuries quickly." This 9 reversal yang pill was not something that could be produced in the human countries. It had fallen into the human countries from the forbidden spiritual zones. Through various channels, Qin Wushuang only had 6 pills. That young man looked at Qin Wushuang with surprise and could not help but ask, "Mister, we are not related. Why are you helping me?" Qin Wushuang said, "If you trust me, take it. If you don't, then go on your way." That young man looked at Qin Wushuang with eyes full of sincerity. Feeling touched inwardly, he took the pills and threw one into his mouth. He fed the other one to his sister. Indeed, the effect of this 9 reversal yang pill was miraculous. In a moment, this young man felt that the injuries on his limbs and bones were recovering quickly. Feeling surprised inwardly, he bowed deeply. "Mister, I owe you a great favor today. If I am lucky enough to survive, I will repay you. May I ask your name?" While he was talking, suddenly, Qin Wushuang's expression changed as he sensed that a large group of people was approaching from 100 miles away. He immediately said, "A large group of people is chasing after us. You should leave quickly." That young man nodded. "I cannot express my gratitude with words. Please spare my life. I will repay you in the future. Our boss is called Wu Xinghe. Remember it well. Wu Xinghe." That young man repeated it silently and nodded. "Brother Wu, the mountains do not turn and the water does not turn. If I do not repay this favor, I swear I am not human." After he had finished, he bowed deeply and cupped his hands in a salute. "See you again, Qingguan." As Qin Wushuang looked at this experienced young man, he could not help but feel some fondness. Inwardly, he thought, "This young man has the same surname as me. I wonder if he is related to the Heavenly Emperor Mountain?" Then, he felt it was too much of a coincidence. That young man from a moment ago was only an ordinary upper sky elite warrior. His strength was not worth mentioning in the Xianyuan Mount. Even in the Stargaze Palace, he would not be among the top. They should not be disciples of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. But no matter what, since his surname was Qin, perhaps there was some connection between them. Moreover, Qin Wushuang was very appreciative of this young man's style. When he thought of this, he felt that the 2-9 transformations yang reversion pills were not wasted. "Boss, this person has the same surname as you." Now, Bao Bao was much more careful than in the past. When he spoke these words, he already knew how to evade the eyes and ears. Instead, he used the sound transmission technique to speak. After a moment of silence, Qin Wushuang also sent his voice. "It should be a coincidence. I think he should not be a disciple of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. It doesn't matter whether he is or not. You've already done all you can. Whether or not he can escape with his life will depend on his own ability." Qin Wushuang sighed, knowing that this was indeed the case. That was all he could do to help. He said, "Let's go." After they had walked 40 or 50 miles, indeed, a dozen people chased after them. These people were dressed differently. Although they appeared to be in the same group, they should not have come from the same sect. Or else, there would not be such a huge difference. It appeared that they had been put together at the last minute. The strength of this group of people was also mediocre. The leader was at the middle stage of the spiritual martial force. The others were all at the initial stage of the spiritual martial realm. Although the Xianyuan Mound was a forbidden spiritual zone with countless elite warriors, in fact, martial artists at the initial stage of the spiritual martial force were the majority. One could even say that they were as numerous as ants. Of course, such martial artists were equivalent to the mole crickets and crickets in the Xianyuan Mound world. They had a low status and could not enter the mainstream of a Xianyuan Mound. The true attraction of a Xianyuan Mound was not these ant-like, low-level martial artists. Instead, it was those elite warriors, those powerful powerhouses, first-rate sects, second-rate sects, and so on. When he saw Qin Wushuang and his 2 companions, that middle-stage elite warrior waved his hand and motioned for the group to stop. This leader had a mustache. As soon as he rolled his eyes, one could judge that this person was a crafty character. "Greetings to you 3. That person cupped his hands in a salute to Qin Wushuang with the etiquette of martial artists. Qin Wushuang cupped his hands casually as a reply. Bao Bao and Lone did not even look at the other party with their nostrils facing the sky. They only sneered. When that guy with a mustache saw this situation, he had some guesses inwardly. Yet he did not dare to act out. To put it bluntly, Although they had the advantage in numbers, if they were to fight, they would not be a match for these three people with their little strength. Although he could not see through the strength of these three, since they dared to be this arrogant, they naturally had the ability to do so. "Excuse me, have you seen anyone escaping from here?" That guy with the mustache asked carefully. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang was moved. He knew that for sure this group of people were chasing after that Qingguan. However, he was not in a rush to answer. Instead, he looked at that guy with the mustache with a smile. "Give me a reason to answer your question," Qin Wushuang said with a light smile. That guy with the mustache smiled apologetically. "We are on the same path in the Jianghu. If you are willing to enlighten us, I would be extremely grateful. If you are not willing, I would not dare to blame you. We will find him ourselves." Qin Wushuang laughed. "I will not talk about the rules of the Jianghu. I will only talk about benefits. If you can give me some benefits, I will tell you everything I know." "Benefits?" That guy with the mustache rolled his eyes and thought that Qin Wushuang was asking for money. This would be easy. At the moment, he asked with a smile, "May I ask, how much do you want?" "A few hundred gold crystal stones should be enough." Instantly, that guy with the mustache was dumbfounded. A few hundred gold crystal stones? For these freelance martial artists, each of them had only received a few dozen gold crystal stones as a reward for this operation. There was no room for negotiation with this price. It was simply a joke. Putting on a wry smile, that guy with the mustache was still apologetic. "Sir, each of us received less than 50 gold crystal stones on this trip. We cannot afford the price you are asking. 50 gold crystal stones for each of you. If each of you take out 30 or 40 gold crystal stones, there are 12 of you. It is enough." Qin Wushuang intended to tease them and stall for time for Qingguan. That guy with the mustache said, "Even if we have the intention to pay you, we do not have the ability. If the mission is not completed, we will not receive even a single gold crystal." Qin Wushuang put on a stern face. "You don't have the money and you still want to stop me? Are you looking for trouble on purpose?" That guy with the mustache was shocked and hastily explained, "We definitely did not mean that. Please do not misunderstand." The purple flame electric beast suddenly opened his mouth coldly. "If you don't have the money, then why are you wasting our time? Who has the mind to talk nonsense with you? If you don't have the money, then let's King pull it. Robbery on the road?" Suddenly, these four words emerged in the head of the mustache guy. He looked around and felt apprehensive inwardly. He had never heard that this canyon was occupied by powerful people or mountain bandits. How come these three people had suddenly popped out? "Boss, don't talk nonsense with them. These three guys are clearly robbing and extorting." From the side of the mustache guy, a young guy cried out. The guy with the mustache guy immediately signaled him to not speak with his eyes. The purple flame electric beast and Bao Bao looked at each other and laughed. Bao Bao cried out, "Great, they are treating us as robbers. Boss, this is slander." "Yes, boss, should I teach them a lesson?" The purple flame electric beast rubbed his fists and showed the true colors of a battle maniac. Qin Wushuang said with a smile, "Second, if you make a move, can anyone still live?" The purple flame electric beast twitched his mouth into a smile. "I will try to leave some alive." The expression of that mustache guy changed. He made a hand gesture, and instantly, 12 people spread out in a circle. "Everyone be careful." Qin Wushuang waved his hand and stopped the purple flame electric beast's impulse. "Second, don't be hasty. Let's ask them clearly first." The purple flame electric beast retreated indignantly. However, he stepped casually, and instantly, that sturdy mountain road sank deeply. Each of his footprints was at least a few inches deep. The purple flame electric beast slapped out with his hand, and instantly, with a rumbling sound, the stone wall next to the valley revealed a giant hole. In the eyes of that group of people, this casual move was no different than a bolt from the blue. Each of them was dumbstruck and trembling inwardly. Such strength, it was something they did not even dare to imagine. "Tell me, what kind of people are you?" Qin Wushuang cooperated with the Purple Flame Electric Beast's show of force. Although his tone was calm, it carried a sense of not allowing refusal. Sir, sir. Instantly, that mustache guy could not speak clearly. We are freelance martial artists from different places in the Orderly Mountain Prefecture. We are not familiar with each other. This time, we gathered together to take a mission. Sir, we did not finish the mission, and we truly have no money. If we had the money, we would not have done such a thankless task. Thankless task? Qin Wushuang asked lightly. Who are the people you are chasing? That mustache guy was somewhat hesitant. Qin Wushuang gave Lone a glance and instructed, I will count to 3. If he does not answer truthfully, you will kill him. GMO answered in a loud voice. Okay. They are disciples of the 100-Leaf Qin clan from the 100-Leaf State. 100-Leaf Qin clan? What kind of powerhouse is that? Qin Wushuang pretended not to know. Sir, since you are from other places, it's understandable that you do not know about the 100-Leaf Qin clan. If you're from the Orderly Mountain Prefecture, most likely you would have heard about the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Our boss has been hanging around the Heavenly Emperor Mountain for years. He only knows about the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan and not about the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Are they related? This was the question Qin Wushuang wanted to ask. Bao Bao was understanding and helped Qin Wushuang to ask. And this question was asked in a casual manner so that no one would have the slightest suspicion. That mustache guy immediately said, The 100-Leaf Qin clan is the overlord of the 100-Leaf State. They claim to be a branch of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. Who knows the truth? However, the 100-Leaf Qin clan has occupied a crystal stone mine in the 100-Leaf State and are wealthy. Recently, there are rumors that the 100-Leaf Qin clan has been secretly supporting the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. Chapter 430. When Qin Wushuang heard this, his face turned cold. Secretly support the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. Wouldn't that be asking for trouble? Hearing Qin Wushuang's words, that man with the handlebar mustache immediately followed his tone. Yes, sir, you are a smart person. This 100-Leaf Qin clan continuously sends crystal stones to the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. They are one of the major powerhouses that the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan relies heavily on. Haha, Qin Wushuang only sneered. That man with the handlebar mustache thought that Qin Wushuang also held a grudge against the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan, as he immediately said, Now, someone has discovered that this 100-Leaf Qin clan is colluding with the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. At the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, someone posted a mission anonymously. This mission will be sent directly to the Orderly Mountain Prefecture and to all major territories. Whoever kills the 100-Leaf Qin clan will get 10,000 green crystal stones. 10,000 green crystal stones would be 1 million gold crystal stones. Without a doubt, this was a huge sum of money. For someone at the level of Manor Master Shao of the Green Tree Gang, his total wealth would only amount to a few thousand gold crystal stones. Even Zhou Guangshu, the leader of the gang, would not possess 1 million gold crystal stones. In that case, the reward for this mission was very attractive. This way, the 100-Leaf Qin clan has already been breached. Qin Wushuang suppressed the concern in his heart and still asked with a calm tone. No, the 100-Leaf Qin clan is not an ordinary powerhouse. Their Qin castle was built next to the high mountain and has a clear geographical advantage. Like a maze, it's not easy to break into the castle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. That man with the handlebar mustache thought himself clever and offered a plan. If you 3 lack money, this reward is definitely a big one. With your talent and strength, you will be welcomed if you join. This way you guys are also joining? Qin Wushuang asked with a smile. We are all unranked freelance martial artists. They would not even put us in their eyes. We are just running errands. The mission is simple. We are to ambush them on the roads leading to the outside world, to prevent the 100-Leaf Qin clan from sending their disciples to seek help. Yes, then the person you are chasing is most likely the disciple sent by the 100-Leaf Qin clan, right? When Qin Wushuang spoke up to this point, He already had a clear idea of the situation. Yes, that brother and sister are disciples of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. These disciples of the Qin clan were extremely vile. Regardless of the Qin clan at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain or the other branches, they were all abnormally stubborn. Even if they were to die, they would not surrender. Therefore, it would be a tough battle to attack the 100-Leaf Qin clan. For sure, the 100-Leaf Qin clan would fight to the end. Most of the disciples they sent out were intercepted. If we let them escape, we'll be in big trouble. Qin Wushuang laughed leisurely. If that's the case, then I should help you. I can't stop you from getting rich. All right, that pair of brother and sister fled in that direction. Hearing Qin Wushuang's words, the man with the handlebar mustache heaved a sigh of relief. My lord, many thanks. He waved his hand and beckoned to his companions. Let's go. They are injured. They won't be able to go far. A trace of an angry, cold sneer emerged from the corner of Qin Wushuang's mouth. When they had walked past one by one, he made a hand gesture and Bao Bao and Lone rushed out. Previously, Bao Bao and Lone had seen Qin Wushuang's leisurely smile. They knew that the anger inside Qin Wushuang's heart had started to burn. From that moment, they had been on high alert and were waiting for Qin Wushuang to give the order. Don't leave a single one alive. Qin Wushuang gave a light shout and rolled up the Fury Dragon Soul from his hand. As soon as the Fury Dragon Soul was activated, waves of power rolled out and wrapped around the three of them. How tyrannical was Qin Wushuang's current strength? How could these freelance martial artists be compared to him? As soon as he used a little bit of strength, the bones and tendons of these three people were broken and they died on the spot. Immediately after, Qin Wushuang kept poking with the fingertip of his right hand. Instantly, the sword chi of the coagulated sword shot out in all directions like lightning. Each sword move was filled with Qin Wushuang's anger and carried the essence of Qin Wushuang's lifetime knowledge. 1, 2, 3. Instantly, Qin Wushuang had killed 6 people. Naturally, Bao Bao and the purple flame electric beast were not careless. With 3 ups and downs, each of them had taken the lives of 3 people without a sound. This back and forth had happened in the time of a breath. Almost without any preparation or resistance, 12 freelance martial artists had been killed. They made their moves so fast and straightforward that they did not even touch a single blade of grass. Qin Wushuang called out, "Second, you are in charge of taking care of these corpses and not leaving any traces. Third, patrol the area to prevent other people from spying on us." Qin Wushuang usually did not make a move. Once he made a move, he must do it cleanly. After he had taken care of everything, Qin Wushuang called out to Bao Bao and Lone and sent his voice. It seems that the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain is getting more dangerous. Even the branches of the Qin clan in different places have been implicated. The stubborn resistance of this 100-Leaf Qin clan is the legacy of the Qin clan. Since I have encountered this matter, I will not sit and do nothing. Boss, you can make the decision. Anyways, we'll follow you. We will fight wherever you tell us to, Bao Bao said straightforwardly. The purple flame electric beast even said, the more exciting, the better. Let's go to the Black Raven Royal City first. Since that guy said that the bounty mission is targeted at the entire Orderly Mountain Prefecture and has already been sent to the royal cities of each territory. For sure, there will be clues to investigate at this Black Raven Royal City. After passing through this canyon, these 3 always chose that remote path and ran quickly. They must hide their tracks and eliminate suspicion. Sooner or later, people would discover the death of those 12 freelance martial artists. If the 3 of them were suspected, then it would be detrimental to their future plans. According to Qin Wushuang's estimation, they would arrive at the Black Raven Royal City before dusk. Everything went as Qin Wushuang had predicted. After the 3 of them had entered the Black Raven Royal City, the sky gradually darkened. Boss, are we going to stay? Or do we have other plans? Let's stay first. We will talk about the rest tomorrow. After they had made up their mind, Qin Wushuang did not provoke other people. The 3 of them found an inn and stayed in it. At night, Bao Bao and Lone came to Qin Wushuang's room. Boss, for this matter, do you have any initial plans? Bao Bao spoke without hesitation. Since that mission was issued by someone from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, it must be extraordinary. And with a bounty of 1,000,000 gold crystal stones, it's enough to make many people go crazy. Qin Wushuang nodded slowly. Now, I am considering what level of elite warriors would participate. Although 1,000,000 gold crystal stones is a huge amount of wealth, it's only to a state or territory. To those major powerhouses and families, I believe 1,000,000 gold crystal stones would not be a fatal temptation, right? Bao Bao thought for a moment and also nodded. Boss's words make sense. I have a plan. Come and listen to it and see if it's feasible. Qin Wushuang said, I plan to use the name of us 3 brothers to participate in this bounty mission. This way, we can get in touch with more people and understand how many elite warriors are participating in this mission. Although it was dangerous to infiltrate the enemy's territory, it was a feasible plan. This is a good plan. I think it will work. After Bao Bao heard his words, he instantly cheered and supported it with all his strength. Lone also said, Indeed, it's exciting. Boss, let's do as you say. Are we going tomorrow? Bao Bao blinked his eyes and asked, No rush. In a few days, let's understand the situation first. It would be too eye-catching if we go tomorrow. Qin Wushuang knew the stakes of this matter and did not dare to let down his guard. All right. Both Bao Bao and Lone nodded. You too. When I left the human countries, I did not have a strong sense of identity with the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. However, along the way, after many experiences, I gradually developed a sense of belonging to the Qin clan. To fight for the Qin clan, I have no other choice but to do so. Boss, don't say any more. Regardless of your choice, we will support you. For the 3 of us, if there's a fight, we will fight together. Don't forget our promise. One day, the 3 of us must make our names resound across the entire Xian Yuan Mound. We must become people that everyone in the Xian Yuan Mound respects. Qin Wushuang nodded. I did not forget. Lone advised again. Boss, in fact, you have made a wise choice. If the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan gets destroyed, I am afraid all the branches of the Qin clan in the world will not have a good life. Even the Qin clan from the Bayou country will not be spared. The battles in the Tian Xian land would not stop until one of them died. Once the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan is destroyed, it will be the other branches. This is the inevitable result. Yes, boss, when you fight for the Qin clan, you're also fighting for your own survival. You humans are the same, and the beast clans are also the same. If a conflict were to occur between the clans, for sure they would go all out. No one would drag out an ignoble existence. Although these words were comforting Qin Wushuang, they also spoke the truth. Qin Wushuang nodded heavily. Okay, regardless of it being for the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan or for the Heavenly Royal Mansion, in the end, since we have decided to fight, we will give it our all. For survival, we will do whatever it takes to deal with the enemy. Yes, to deal with the enemy, we will do whatever it takes. Haha, boss. I admire you even more when you are like this. A wave of willful wildness also emerged from the eyes of the purple flame electric beast. Yes, boss, you have been with us for a long time. When we merge with each other, for sure you will learn more about survival from us beast clans. For the beast clans, we will always do whatever it takes to kill the enemy. We will not care about other restraints. If the enemy wants you dead, it's natural for you to want him dead. There is no need to hesitate. Qin Wushuang's blood boiled. Okay, let's fight until blood flows like a river. We will not rest until we die. The 3 of them clapped their hands and made an oath. Since their minds were connected, there was no longer a trace of doubt. The battle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan would be their first battle after entering the Xian Yuan Mound. For this first battle, regardless, they must bring out their morale and win beautifully. After they had made up their minds, they returned to their rooms to rest. The night passed in silence. On the morning of the next day, Bao Bao was the first to walk out of his room. He laughed. Boss, second, today let's take a good stroll around the Black Raven Royal City. While they were talking, suddenly the sound of gongs and drums emerged from the street downstairs. We caught another Qin disciple. Another one. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 431. This person stood with the sword in his hand and appeared at ease. He tore off the rope on that Qin disciple and waved the long sword in his hand. If you don't want to die, come up. This person had a tall figure and a rare young appearance. He was only a few years older than the Qin disciple he had saved. This person had a jade-like complexion and appeared extremely handsome. Although he was surrounded by powerful enemies, he still talked cheerfully and wittily. He appeared neither fast nor slow, as if he was not afraid of the difficult situation before him. When Qin Wushuang saw this person's demeanor, he praised inwardly. What is the background of this young master? Could he be a disciple of the heavenly Emperor Qin headquarters? This skill, this temperament, they're all extraordinary. When he thought here, he felt even more admiration inwardly. He shot a glance at Bao Bao and the others to motion them to not act recklessly and to wait for his orders. General Manager Su waved his hand and stopped the other people from charging forward. He took a step forward and sized that young master up from head to toe. Then, he said coldly, "Young man, you have some guts. May I ask your name?" That young master glanced at General Manager Su lightly and did not mind. He gave a carefree smile. "My surname is Jiufeng. My name is Yunfei. Remember it well. Jiufeng clan?" The expression of General Manager Su changed slightly. Jiufeng Yunfei laughed. "You are not completely ignorant and inexperienced. I have heard of the Jiufeng clan." The expression of that General Manager Su changed drastically. "Your Jiufeng clan is also involved in these trivial matters?" Jiufeng Yunfei said proudly. In the end, General Manager Su is still somewhat ignorant. If you know those secrets from 3,000 years ago, you should know that without the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan, the Jiufeng clan would not have existed. Now that the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan is in danger, of course the Jiufeng clan is responsible. Once again, the expression of General Manager Su changed drastically. Instantly, his initial confident appearance had lost some of its calmness. There was a trace of seriousness and even some worry. However, after all, this General Manager Su was someone who had seen many big scenes. When he saw this situation, he only smiled lightly. "I don't want to know the relationship between your Jiufeng clan and the Qin clan. This disciple of the 100-Leaf Qin clan is our captive. If you want to take him away today, you must pay the price." "Is that so? With just you?" Jiufeng Yunfei had a trace of disdain. General Manager Su laughed. "Could it be that you don't know that we had tied up this disciple of the Qin clan here to lure out a big fish like you? Do you think you can bring him out of Black Raven Royal City with ease?" Jiufeng Yunfei smiled faintly. "Even if you set up an inescapable net in this Black Raven Royal City, what do I, Jiufeng Yunfei, fear? Is that so?" The corner of General Manager Su's mouth also had a trace of coldness. "Isn't that so?" Jiufeng Yunfei sneered. Suddenly, he lifted his body and soared into the sky. He threw the long sword in his hand, which turned into a green sword beam. Jiufeng Feiyun stepped on the tip of his foot. He stood on the green sword light and flew away with the wind. His speed was so fast, and his movements were so elegant that it caused the entire square to instantly rumble. Obviously, everyone was extremely shocked. How is this possible? Imperial sword flight. Damn, isn't he too handsome? Where on earth did this kid come from? General Manager Su saw that this Jiufeng Yunfei had used the Imperial sword flight as soon as he made his move. And, judging from his temperament, apparently, he was not an ordinary novice. His speed was so fast that it left Chief Steward Su in the dust. He stomped his feet and became flustered and exasperated. Suddenly, he lifted his body and also transformed into a wave of light to soar into the sky. He had chased after Jiufeng Yunfei. Only, the speed of this General Manager Su was clearly much slower than Jiufeng Yunfei. Jiufeng Yunfei's sword chi circled around him, and like a rocket, He soared into the sky with full power. And when this general manager, Su, had reached a certain height, he no longer had the strength to climb up. He could only fly parallel to the sky. And his speed was gentle and not as fast as Jiufeng Yunfei's lightning speed. Qin Wushuang raised his head to look at this sudden turn of events with shock. Inwardly, he was also speechless. Until now, he had truly experienced the advantage of flying in the sky. When he had grasped this skill, regardless of how difficult the ground battle was, as long as he could soar into the sky and leave behind a scene of fear and surprise, it would be a cool and unrestrained thing. Flying skill, Qin Wushuang muttered inwardly. Regardless of the cloud feathery technique or the purple cloud yin-yang wings, I must enter the void martial stage to perform them. Especially that cloud feathery technique, one must be at the transformation void martial stage to perform it. From Qin Wushuang's understanding of the void martial stage, he had some general knowledge. Among the 4 stages of the void martial stage, the refined void martial stage was the entrance to the void martial stage. One could refine one's shape, change one's body, merge with the void, and transform one's body. And when one entered the 2nd stage of the transformation of void martial stage, on top of the foundation of the refined void martial stage, a portion of elite warriors of the transformation void martial stage with superior skills and talent would possess the ability to fly. Regardless of riding the sword or using the flying skill, when one reached the transformation void martial stage, the body could merge with the void and become as light as a feather. At this stage, although one could not directly soar into the sky, flying in the sky was no longer something unattainable. In other words, the transformation void martial stage was the entrance to the flying skill. And when one reached the 3rd stage of the void martial stage, the profound void martial stage, in addition to the flying skill, one could also escape into the void and master different types of evasive techniques. If one could master different evasive techniques, in some cases, it would be more advantageous than the flying skill. It could even be more perfect. After all, the process of performing the flying skill would always leave some traces. And the evasive techniques were unpredictable. If one was not an expert, not to mention the traces, they would not even be able to catch the wind. They would not know where to go or how to evade. Of course, the flying skill and the evasive techniques did not have any advantages. Only, in different situations, different uses would have different characteristics. And the highest stage of the void martial stage, the perfect void martial stage, was the upper stage of the void martial stage. All kinds of skills have been brought to the point of perfection. The use of these skills depended on one's heart. At the level of emptiness realm consummation, what mattered was the details and the skills that each of them specialized in. In terms of realm, unless one had a special opportunity, there wouldn't be much of a difference in the level of one's realm after reaching this level. While he was thinking, that general manager, Su, turned into a wave of light and dropped to the ground. As the light withdrew, that general manager, Su, walked out angrily with an ashen face. General Manager Su, how did it go? Those 2 subordinates on the left and right went up to him and asked with concern. General Manager Su gave a sneer. That kid sword technique was extraordinary, and that sword should also have an immemorial inheritance. The sword light was too fast. My flying skill could not catch up to him. I think that this Jiufeng clan had once lived in the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates. It's not strange to have some inheritance. Unfortunately, if the other general managers were here, they would not have let this kid run away so easily. General Manager Su shook his head. Even if Commander Chun had come, with his strength, it would not be a problem to beat that kid. However, it would be troublesome to catch up to him. Even Commander Chun could not catch up to him? Those 2 looked at each other in dismay. This time, when the bounty had reached the Orderly Mountain Prefecture, someone had immediately accepted it. The person in charge of this mission was the Commander Chun they had mentioned. Besides him, there were also the 4 general managers. These 5 people were the main people in charge of this mission. That Commander Chun was also the only elite warrior at the profound void martial stage on this mission. The other four general managers were all elite warriors at the transformation void martial stage. For a bounty of 1 million gold crystal stones, it was already the limit to invite elite warriors at the profound void martial stage. When one reached the perfect void martial stage, usually they would focus on training and pursue that exquisite mysterious boundary stage. Who would be willing to work hard for a mere 1 million gold crystal stones? However, to the 100-Leaf Chain clan, an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage was the limit they could endure. If a perfect void martial stage had truly come, most likely the 100-Leaf Chain clan would not have the power to resist. Regardless of how sturdy their castle was, they could only accept their fate, unless a miracle happened. Although the hostage had been rescued, General Manager Su did not feel ashamed. After all, everyone had witnessed the strength of that Jiu Fong Feiyan. There was no need for him to cover up his mistakes. Facts spoke louder than words. The surrounding crowd was still discussing spiritedly. General Manager Su frowned and instructed, "Let these people go. There is no more show to watch." When that man in black received the order, he walked up and shouted, "Go, go. Those who want to sign up, go to the Freelance Martial Artist Union to sign up. May I ask, how many crystal stones will we get for participating in this mission?" "Yes, how much can we get?" "Money makes the mare go. If the reward is high, us brothers will sign up to try. If there is no profit, we will not get involved in this muddy water. After all, it's not fun to offend the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan." "Haha, announce the price." That general manager, Su said with a cold sneer. "The price is negotiable. I am afraid you guys do not have the strength. If you have the strength, you will not be afraid of not having money." "General Manager, should I announce the standard?" The black-clothed man muttered in a low voice. "The other three chiefs are almost done recruiting people in the other territories. We can't be too slow on our side." Initially, General Manager Su was not in a rush. In his opinion, quality was more important than quantity when recruiting people. Thus, he had been extremely cautious when recruiting people at the Black Raven Royal City. Each person must be carefully examined, as he was afraid of spies. He was also afraid of people making up the numbers. General Manager Su nodded lightly. "It's good that you announce it." Having received permission, the man in black stepped forward, cleared his throat, and called out, "Listen up, all of you. This time, the people attacking the 100-Leaf Chain clan will be different than the ones we hired temporarily. The requirement is extremely high. At least, you must be at the advanced stage. It would be even better if you are at the perfect stage. If you are at the refined void martial stage, you are even more welcome. The scope of recruitment is within these 3 stages. For the refined void martial stage, as long as you participate in the attack and contribute your strength, you will receive a minimum of 5,000 gold crystal stones. Then, based on your contribution, you will receive other rewards. For those with great contributions, including the minimum, elite warriors at the refined void martial stage, you will receive up to 20,000 gold crystal stones as a reward for this mission. For the perfect stage, you will receive half of the reward for the refined void martial stage. For the advanced stage, you will receive at least 1,000 gold crystal stones. The highest you can receive is 3,000 gold crystal stones. This reward was not low. To the elite warriors at each level, the price was fair. This way, the interest of these people was instantly aroused. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. More chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 432. Of course, General Manager Su would not stay here to listen to their whispers. He flicked his sleeve and said lightly, "Those who are interested, you can sign up at the Freelance Martial Artist Union across the street. Of course, I will say the ugly words first. Those who are not strong enough, do not disturb." Around this giant square, there were not many elite warriors at the refined void martial stage. However, there were some freelance martial artists at the perfect stage and advanced stage. Clearly, these people were worried about personal gains and losses. Inwardly, they were hesitating whether they should sign up or not. Without a doubt, this reward was extremely attractive. It was also extremely fair. However, although this mission had been hyped up, many people were able to analyze the pros and cons involved in it. To attack the 100-Leaf Qin clan was to openly oppose the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. In the past, the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan had ruled the Heavenly Emperor's seat of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Even though their strength had declined, the strong foundation of the Qin clan still allowed them to stand proudly among the Heavenly Emperor Eight Gates. For thousands of years, they had been pushed aside and beaten. Yet, they still stood upright, and no one had replaced them. Therefore, no one could guarantee that the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan would not rise again. Most importantly, in the recent thousands of years, the Xian Yuan Mound had changed Heavenly Emperors once every 500 years. The change of the Heavenly Emperor's seat could almost be described as taking turns to sit as the Emperor. However, with so many changes of Heavenly Emperor, overall, when the Qin clan ruled the Heavenly Emperor's seat, it was the most prosperous and the most stable era in the Xian Yuan Mound. Although the Qin clan had lost power, various positive comments about the Qin clan were still deeply implanted in many people's hearts. For the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan, even when they ruled the Heavenly Emperor's seat, they had never bullied the weak and handled matters justly. Although they had carried out harsh actions, they had never compromised with any evil powerhouses. Because the Qin clan was too upright and easily broken, it had caused the foundation of the Qin clan to keep shaking. Thus, they had started to go downhill and had fallen to their current situation. However, for thousands of years, the backbone of the Qin clan had been deeply imprinted. It had been passed down to every corner. Those who had a branch of the Qin clan had never abandoned the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. Even if they were to die, they would never give up their pride as a disciple of the Qin clan. For example, Qin Guan and Qin Zhao. Qin Wushuang could empathize with this point. Qin Guan's determined expression, his care for his sister, his determination without hesitation, Qin Zhao's unyielding arrogance before death, his free and easy manner when talking cheerfully and wittily shared a miraculous connection with Qin Wushuang's bones. In fact, when the inheritance reached Qin Wushuang's area, even if they were branches of the Qin clan, the bloodline connection between them was so thin that it could be ignored. However, the estrangement of the bloodline from generation to generation could not erase this temperament. On the contrary, among the crowd, this temperament that belonged to the Qin clan had unconsciously caused a form of resonance between the disciples of the Qin clan. "Boss, are we going to sign up?" Bao Bao sent his voice to ask. "Let's go back to the inn first and restore our tracks to their original state," Qin Wushuang said with a smile. "Don't worry, we'll go back in batches." "All right." Back at the inn, Qin Wushuang felt a lot more relaxed. Since that Qin Zhao had been rescued, Qin Wushuang did not need to feel conflicted and conflicted. "Boss, that young man from the Jiufang clan is so powerful. Don't look at how powerful that general manager Su sounded. If they were to fight, most likely he would not be a match for that Jiufang Feiyun." Bao Bao did not like that general manager Su. Lone also agreed with Bao Bao's point of view. "Yes, boss, that Jiufang Feiyun is extremely skilled in the flying sword technique." In a flash, he was in the sky. With such strength, even an elite warrior at the profound void stage would not be able to do anything to him. Flying sword. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. That would require a flying sword refined with his own spiritual perception. "I see that Jiufang Feiyun has a high compatibility with that sword he practices. It's as if that sword is a part of his life." However, Bao Bao laughed. "Boss, don't be jealous of him. When you enter the void martial stage and grow the purple cloud yin yang wings, it will become a part of your body. It's much better than any flying sword. With a flap of the wings, you can travel thousands of miles in one jump. Wouldn't it be cooler to travel hundreds of thousands of miles in a day?" Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. His Majesty the Silver Monkey King said that the purple cloud yin yang wings needs to evolve a few times to achieve such effect. When I had just entered the void martial stage, I was certainly not that devilish. Haha, for sure would be faster than flying on the sword. Regardless, flying on the sword relies on the speed of the sword and the spiritual power of the body to control the flying sword. There is still a fatal difference compared to the wings that grow on your body. What do you think, boss? Qin Wushuang laughed. I do hope so. Lone gave a long sigh. Boss, when you enter the Void Martial stage, ordinary warriors at the refined Void Martial stage would not be able to fly. They would not be able to fight with you. Usually, the transformation Void Martial stage is the entry level for flying skills. If you can fly at the refined Void Martial stage, then you would be taking off one step earlier. The advantage in this goes without saying. Bao Bao also agreed. That's right, boss. When you enter the refined Void Martial stage, it will be the time for you to stand out in the Xian Yuan Mount. Qin Wushuang was not confused by these wild thoughts. In his opinion, unrealized things were like castles in the air. Everything had yet to be developed, and there was no room for blind optimism. He stood up. Everyone get ready. Let's go sign up. That general manager, Su, has a suspicious personality. I am afraid it will not be easy to sign up. With the identities of us three brothers, we must keep our mouths shut. Don't let him find out anything. Yes, for the sign up, we must not act like a swarm of bees. We must investigate. Boss, have you thought about our identities and origins? This general manager Su is from the Orderly Mountain Prefecture. With his strength at the Transformation Void Martial stage, it would be impossible for him to travel through all 72 prefectures. Our identities are the three Wu brothers from the Great Gobi Desert of the Sky Water Prefecture. The Gobi Desert of that Sky Water Prefecture is a barren land. Not to mention how far it is from the Orderly Mountain Prefecture, it is also isolated from the outside world. If we say that we came from there, even if he is suspicious, he will not be able to verify it. Next, Qin Wushuang communicated with each other on some crucial questions. They had prepared their statements to prevent that general manager, Su, from breaking through each of them and questioning them one by one. After they had prepared all contingency plans, Qin Wushuang was finally satisfied as he left. This time, even if that general manager, Su, wants to investigate 18 generations of our ancestors, we will have something to answer him. Remember, if that guy asks more than 3 questions, you must pretend to be furious and not let him continue. The angrier we are, the more trustworthy we will be. This general manager, Su, is an old fox. We must go against him. We must not let him grasp our weakness and continue to ask. Yes, boss's words are reasonable. After they had finished their discussion, the 3 of them went out and headed towards the Freelance Martial Artist Union. When they arrived at the door, someone from the director had already led them in. When he heard that they had come to sign up, the director sent someone in to inform them. In a moment, a person walked out from inside. It was that man in black that had followed General Manager Su. You guys are here to sign up? The man in black sized up Qin Wushuang and the other 2. Apparently, he was examining them. What? Isn't this the place to sign up? Lone raised his thick eyebrow. When he stood forward with his tall and sturdy body, he appeared imposing, and no one would dare to look down on him. That man in black gave a cold sneer. Why are you in such a rush? If you have the skills, would you be afraid of being pushed away? As long as you can pass the examination, everything is negotiable. As he spoke, he waved his hand, follow me. Qin Wushuang and the other 2 followed him through the corridor and headed inside. In a moment, they had arrived at a courtyard in the back. Currently, a dozen people had come to sign up. That general manager, Su, stood before the door of the courtyard and said with a clear voice, Everyone, this time, I will only recruit 15 people. No more than 3 at the refined Void Martial stage. No more than 5 at the perfect stage. For the rest, the advanced stage will do. Initially, for this attack on the castle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, the 4 general managers were in charge of recruiting people. Each of them only had 20 spots. For 5 of them, this general manager, Su, already had people in place. The other 15 spots would be recruited from the outside. Based on the cost, if each general manager's 20 spots had successfully completed the mission, at least 70 to 80% of the 1 million gold crystal stones reward would be reduced. If that was the case, then from Commander Chun to the 4 chief managers, there was not much profit to be made. However, they had also calculated that it would be impossible for them to come out unscathed when they attacked the 100 Leaf Chin clan. For more than 80 people, it would be lucky if half of them could return. And if they died during the mission, the organization would not take any responsibility. General Manager Su, another 3 have come. General Manager Su glanced at them and nodded. He instructed, take them to test their strength. We will review them when they are strong enough. Yes. The man in black answered and turned around to call Qin Wushuang and the others. Follow me. We will test your strength first. Qin Wushuang had already discussed with Bao Bao and Lone. For these 3 people, Qin Wushuang signed up with the strength of the perfect stage and did not hide it. And Bao Bao and Lone signed up with the strength of the advanced stage. It was because, being from the beast race, they could easily hide their strength after refining their appearance. Even General Manager Su, who was at the Transformation Void Martial stage, could not see through their secrets unless they revealed their flaws. The process of the strength test was simple. Since Qin Wushuang was an experienced person, of course he passed easily. And Bao Bao and Lone did not have any accidents. They followed their original plan and passed this level smoothly. After they had finished the strength test, that man in black said, 1 perfect stage, 2 advanced stage. Is that right? That's right. You came from the Gobi Desert of the Sky Water Prefecture. That man in black asked along the way. Are you in charge of the review? Lone asked lightly. How could I be in charge of the review? General Manager Su is in charge of the review. When that man in black mentioned General Manager Su, his face was full of respect. Since you are not in charge of the review, why are you asking so many questions? Lone said with a face full of annoyance. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 433. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang also applauded Lone when he saw him contradicting him. This was their strategy. They must not be overly respectful, as it would appear suspicious. These 3 people each had their own personality. Lone appeared to be a thorn, as he was arrogant everywhere. On the contrary, it made people feel that they had a clear conscience and were full of confidence. That man in black was choked by Lone's words as he smiled bitterly. Okay, I talked too much. Why are you being arrogant before me? Let's see if you dare to be arrogant before General Manager Su. Lone twitched his mouth. General Manager Su is in charge of the examination. Since it's the rule, of course I will follow it. Why should I be arrogant? Speechless, the man in black could only take these 3 back to that courtyard with his hands behind his back. He walked next to General Manager Su and reported, General Manager Su, these 3 people said they came from the Great Gobi of the Sky Water Prefecture. Sky Water Prefecture? That far? General Manager Su was somewhat surprised as he asked again, how was the strength test? They all passed, 1 perfect stage and 2 advanced stage. The man in black answered honestly. General Manager Su sized them from afar and did not see any flaws. He slowly nodded. Okay, let them come. I will ask them some questions. The man in black nodded and turned to call Qin Wushuang and the other 2. You 3, come here quickly. General Manager Su has something to ask you. Qin Wushuang knew that the most crucial part of this General Manager Su's plan had arrived. As long as they could pass the examination of this General Manager Su, it would not be a problem to join this team. He followed that General Manager Su into a secret room. That General Manager Su put his hands behind his back and glanced at Qin Wushuang and the other 2 with a cold gaze. You came from the Great Gobi of the Sky Water Prefecture? Have you also heard of the Great Gobi? Qin Wushuang asked in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Of course I have heard of it, since it's all in the Xian Yuan Mount. Which power do you 3 belong to in the Gobi Desert? Haha, we're not some offspring of the wealthy class. Regarding the name of the 3 Wu heroes, although we are not famous, in a few years, we will be famous throughout the Xian Yuan Mount. This was Bao Bao's tone. In that case, no one can prove the identities of the 3 of you? Why do we need others to testify for our own identities. Qin Wushuang was very surprised and asked innocently, "If you're unable to prove your identity, even if the three of you meet the requirements, we will not be able to recruit you. That's difficult. Us three brothers in this Black Raven Royal City don't have any acquaintances and can't find anyone to vouch for us. But if General Manager Su wants to, you can go to the Great Gobi Desert to investigate." We, the three Wu brothers, did not appear out of thin air. Chief Steward Su smiled faintly. "I'm sorry, but the journey to the Great Gobi Desert is long. It will take at least 2 to 3 years for a return trip. I don't have the time." "Then what Sir Manager means is that the three of us have no chance to join." General Manager Su nodded decisively. "Unless you can prove your identity. The proof of identity that we give ourselves won't work. He did not have any acquaintances in this orderly mountain prefecture. That's difficult." "Humph, boss, third, if they don't want us, can't we rely on the 100-Leaf Chain clan? Since we are paying with our ability, could it be that they cannot afford to pay us to help the 100-Leaf Chain clan? The three of us only recognize money, and we don't care who we work for." GMO started to call out. Hearing his words, the expression on that General Manager Su's face also changed slightly. Apparently, GMO had not considered GMO's words. That's right, although the $1 million reward was impressive. However, everyone knew that the 100-Leaf Chain clan had controlled the Crystal Stone Mine. In the orderly mountain prefecture, they were a first-rate wealthy class. If the 100-Leaf Chain clan was willing to pay, could it be that no one would be willing to work for them? When he thought here, this General Manager Su could not help but hesitate. Lone cried out when he saw him hesitate. "Boss, let's go. If this place doesn't want us, there will be other places." Qin Wushuang nodded. "If that's the case, then we can only go. Third, let's go." General Manager Su waved his hand. "Hold on." Qin Wushuang did not even turn his head. "General Manager Su, don't doubt people you use. Don't use people you suspect. Since you suspect us three brothers, we will not apply for this name." Boss is right. In my life, I hate being suspected the most. Lone was still panting with anger and appeared to be in a bad mood. In these few days, General Manager Su had also been reviewing all the candidates who had signed up. In fact, he was also having a hard time with this review. In fact, regardless of how meticulous his review was, he always felt that each person was more or less suspicious. He could not eliminate them completely. However, he could not confirm these suspicious points. It was specious and impossible to come to a conclusion. If there were no suspicious points, then he could only use the people around him. However, the people around him were far from enough to make up this number of 20. Due to his suspicious personality, he was the slowest one to gather people among the 4 general managers. The other 3 general managers had almost finished gathering people in the royal cities of the other territories. On his side, there was almost no movement. Seeing that the promised date was getting closer day by day, Chief Steward Su's heart was burning with anxiety. He thought about the possibility that Lone had mentioned. When he thought about those people he had eliminated these days, he could not help but feel somewhat apprehensive. If those people he had rejected all went to the 100-Leaf Chain clan in a fit of anger, it would definitely be a disaster to their operation. "Take care. I only need to ask you a few questions separately. As long as you answer satisfactorily, you will pass. If you are not satisfied, then you can leave. How about it?" Lone mumbled. "After asking so many questions, what do you try to do?" The expression of that General Manager Su turned cold. "You 3 came here to sign up, and you can come and go as you wish. Could it be that you are bullying us because we have no rules?" Qin Wushuang stopped. "General Manager Su, could it be you want to bully the weak?" General Manager Su smiled lightly. "I only want to choose the most suitable candidates. I have no personal grudge with you 3. Qin Wushuang nodded. "Okay, then I will answer your questions first." That General Manager Su nodded. "Then let your 2 brothers leave for a while." Bow bow, and Lone walked out angrily with some unwillingness. When Chief Steward Su saw this, he also felt that these 3 people shouldn't be faking it. However, He had always been careful and wouldn't easily change his mind. Instead, he asked, "The three of you said that you came from the Great Desert. May I ask the three of you, where exactly do you live in the Great Desert?" "Haha. To tell you the truth, us three brothers have been orphans since we were young. We grew up in a little desolate village in the Gobi. If we had not met an injured martial artist when we were 8 or 9 years old, I'm afraid we would have stayed in that desolate village for the rest of our lives. This way, you guys have encountered some fortuitous opportunity? You can say it that way. Let me ask again, since you three had stepped onto the path of martial arts, have you done anything major? What kind of powerful opponents have you fought? How much combat experience do you have?" General Manager Sue, regarding fighting with elite warriors, perhaps us three brothers do not have as much experience as you. However, regarding combat experience, if you have lived in the giant Gobi, you should know the living environment there. Us three brothers have survived hundreds of battles. We have a lot of combat experience. I'm not very interested in your combat experience in the giant Gobi. Just tell me, what kind of elite warriors have you fought with since you came here from the giant Gobi? General Manager Sue cared more about this. Qin Wushuang did not even frown as he said, "Us three brothers have encountered mountain bandits along the way from the giant Gobi. However, they did not think that us three brothers were doing this kind of business in the giant Gobi. How could we have let them succeed?" General Manager Sue nodded. "Where did you encounter mountain bandits?" Qin Wushuang became silent for a moment. "Along the way, at least 3 or 4 such things happened. We were ambushed at places like the Tiger Leaping Gorge and the Eagle Grieving Ravine. However, the three of us brothers are very experienced in this aspect. We had prepared beforehand." When he said here, Qin Wushuang suddenly stopped and said with a somewhat displeased tone, "General Manager Sue, you are asking too many questions, right? If you don't trust us three brothers, then don't ask so many questions to amuse us." General Manager Sue did not get angry as he waved his hand. "Okay, let's hit someone else." Next, naturally, it was Lone's turn, and Qin Wushuang was taken to another place. This was to prevent them from colluding with each other. However, they had already discussed many issues before they set off. It was impossible for them to leave any major flaws for Chief Steward Sue. That General Manager Sue asked the Purple Flame Electric Beast one round and also got nothing. He couldn't find any flaws. When it was Bao Bao's turn, Bao Bao was even more straightforward. After answering 2 questions, he started to complain. General Manager Sue had audited many people. He had lost count of how many times he had become impatient from his questioning. In the end, he made the decision to let these 3 brothers participate. General Manager Sue also had his own little scheme. Since these 3 brothers had come from the giant Gobi, they had gone through many life and death situations together. Certainly, they would be able to unleash stronger combat power when facing enemies. Since you 3 have passed the audit, you will stay at the Freelance Martial Artist Union. It will be easier to gather you. For this attack plan, you must be on standby at any time. Qin Wushuang said, "It's okay to stay here. However, us 3 brothers cannot afford to wait for too long. In case you guys don't make a move, we don't have the money to stay at this union." General Manager Sue, for us to sign up for this mission, don't we get paid in advance? On this issue, General Manager Sue was extremely strict. He shook his head resolutely. "I'm sorry. The rule of this mission is to pay after the job is done. The amount of reward will be determined based on how much effort each of you put in." The Purple Flame Electric Beast said angrily, "Stingy, without money. How can I work with you guys? Work with your life first, take the money later. If you take the money first and slack off at the last minute, this plan will fail." General Manager Sue was extremely principled. "Of course, we will take care of your food and lodging at this union." Qin Wushuang sneered. "Finally, you are not stingy to the extreme." To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 434. The agreed time to attack the 100-Leaf Qin clan was getting closer. The recruitment plans of the other 3 general managers had already been completed. Only General Manager Su's side was left. It caused Commander Chun, who was in charge of this mission, to be extremely dissatisfied with General Manager Su. He urged him to speed up several times. General Manager Su was careful with each step. At this critical moment, he could only relax some of his demands. 3 days later, the quota of 15 people was finally filled. Although Qin Wushuang and the others had 3 people. Besides Qin Wushuang, Bao Bao and Lone had appeared before everyone with the strength of the advanced stage. After the Beast Clan had refined their appearance, they had concealed their strength. Even General Manager Su could not see through the flaws. Naturally, the other people would not be able to see through them. The most crucial part was that the recruited people had formed their own little groups in 2s and 3s. They paid more attention to their own little schemes. Although they would occasionally pay attention to other people, they did not care much. They only observed with cold eyes and slowly became familiar with each other. With General Manager Su's suspicious personality, none of these 15 recruited people made him feel 100% free of suspicion. However, he also knew that if he were to select people according to his standards, most likely he would not be able to select the right people, even if he had another year. This way, Qin Wushuang and the others did not appear to stand out. Including General Manager Su's group, there were a total of 20 people. General Manager Su gathered them together and started to lecture them. Among the 15 recruited people, besides the 3 elite warriors at the refined Void Martial stage who went their own ways, the rest were all in small groups. Qin Wushuang and the others were in a group. The remaining people were divided into 3 groups. One group had 2 people, one group had 3 people, and the last group had 4 people. As usual, General Manager Su's gaze surveyed the group before he slowly opened his mouth and said, "Everyone, among the 20 of us, 15 of us were recruited. To be honest, I am still suspicious of your identities. However, there's the so-called saying of not suspecting the people you use and not using the people you suspect. Now, we are a group. I hope that everyone will lower your status. Let go of your selfishness and work together. Completing the mission means that money will come in." Although Chief Steward Su's words were full of sincerity. However, because these people had just gathered together, they were wary of each other. Thus, for a moment, no one spoke first. General Manager Su seemed to have expected this situation as he did not urge them. With a light smile, he said again, "I believe everyone understands that only when we break into the castle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, extinguish the last traces of the Qin clan, occupy the castle, and kill all the leaders of the Qin clan, it would be considered a perfect completion of the mission. Before the mission is completed, no one, including me, will receive any rewards. Therefore, if any of you intend to sneak in and work without putting in any effort, then leave as soon as possible. It's because everyone holds this thought. It's impossible to break through the 100-Leaf Qin clan. If we cannot break through the castle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, in the end, everyone's efforts will be in vain. Therefore, I hope that everyone will do their best and not have any illusions. On the battlefield, if you leave some leeway, the enemy will not be merciful because of it." However, Chief Steward Su's words were reasonable and well-founded. Suddenly, an elite warrior at the refined Void Martial stage in red robes spoke with his hoarse voice. "General Manager Su, forgive me for saying a few more words. For sure, everyone is participating in this mission because of the money. If we attack the 100-Leaf Qin clan with irresistible force and everything goes smoothly, everyone will not be stingy. Even if we are stuck in a deadlock, for sure, everyone will go all out. However, if we attack the 100-Leaf Qin clan and the situation is disadvantageous from the start, it's impossible for everyone to work together and exert all their efforts." After General Manager Su heard this, he pondered for a moment before nodding his head. He was unable to deny this point. Qisong Zunjia is right. If one were to fall into a disadvantage from the start, one's mentality would change. One would definitely consider one's own safety as the #1 priority. However, please rest assured, this time, Commander Chun will be in charge of this matter. Commander Chun is an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage. With him in charge, it will not be difficult to take down the 100 Leaf Chin clan. For the 100 Leaf Chin clan, the strongest are only 2 elite warriors at the transformation void martial stage. In this level of battle, it was self-evident how much advantage an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage would have. General Manager Su's words had calmed everyone's heart. That Red Pine honored warrior chuckled. General Manager Su, if Commander Chun is that exceptional, then we would be in charge of cleaning up the small fries to prevent any fish from escaping the net, right? General Manager Su shook his head. If that's the case, why would we need to invite all these elite warriors? That castle of the 100 Leaf Chin clan is built next to the cliff. There are gates on 3 sides, and the back of the castle is against the steep cliff. It's easy to defend and hard to attack. To the 100 Leaf Chin clan, this terrain is extremely advantageous. At this time, another elite warrior at the refined void martial stage spoke. This person was a gray-haired elder. He carried a long sword on his back and revealed a cold expression. Even when he spoke, his voice was as cold as a blade. General Manager Su, for how many elite warriors does that 100 Leaf Chin clan have? You guys should have some information, right? No matter how good the terrain was, there would always be a limit to how strong the terrain could be when surrounded by experts. Not only can elite warriors at the profound void martial stage fly in the sky, they can also perform evasive techniques. Would these unpredictable methods be afraid of the terrain? However, General Manager Su smiled lightly. Mr. G, evasive techniques are not something that can run amok. Since that 100 Leaf Chin clan has colluded with the Heavenly Emperor Chin clan, who can guarantee that they do not have those deadly nets around their castle. Overall, for this battle, we should not be overly optimistic, and we should not belittle ourselves. Of course, regarding the arrangements, we must make it to the Yellow Wind territory where the 100 Leaf Chin clan is located. The 100 Leaf State was located at the Yellow Wind territory. This time, they were not gathering at the Yellow Wind Royal City, but at a valley outside the city. This valley was remote and would not attract people's attention easily. It would also be convenient for them to set up camp. Under the leadership of General Manager Su, the team departed on the second day. They left the Black Raven Royal City and headed towards the Yellow Wind territory. The Yellow Wind territory was much more fertile and vast than the Black Raven territory. There was about 20 to 30,000 miles between the two places. To General Manager Su, it would take 1 day and 1 night to travel this 20 to 30,000 miles at full speed. However, among the team, the weakest was at the advanced stage. For this 20 to 30,000 miles, even if they were to travel at full speed, they would need 3 or 4 days. Thus, for this journey, they traveled at the speed of the advanced stage. To elite warriors at the refined void martial stage, they would feel somewhat depressed to travel at this speed. However, these people did not complain because of this little matter. Under the example set by Chief Steward Su, they were very cooperative. After 5 days, the team arrived at that valley smoothly. As General Manager Su had expected, their team was the last to arrive. The other passers-by were somewhat impatient. If it weren't for Commander Chen's suppression, these people would have already complained. General Manager Su, you are finally here. There seemed to be a trace of blame in the tone of that Commander Chen. Qin Wushuang was at the back of the crowd. From afar, he saw that this Commander Chen did not have 3 heads and 6 arms. Only when he looked around, almost no one dared to look at him from his left and right. Between the movements of this person, there was a form of natural power. Before this Commander Chen, General Manager Su did not dare to neglect him. Instead, he said carefully, Commander Chen, I spent a lot of effort to recruit people at the Black Raven Royal City. The twists and turns are difficult to explain in a few words. Please forgive me, Commander Chen. No wonder Commander Chen was the person in charge. He laughed freely and said with a responsible tone, regardless of how late you are, You did not exceed the agreed date. The few of them were getting impatient from waiting. Since you were late, it's the right time to sharpen everyone's mind. Okay, this matter ends here. In the future, we are all allies. No need to worry about such trivial matters. Everyone gathered here for the money. There's no need to fight. Commander Chun is wise. The 4 general managers cupped their hands in a salute to show their obedience to Commander Chen's arrangement. This Commander Chun waved his hand and ordered, "For general managers, you guys arrange your teams and let them set up camp. After that, the 4 of you come to my tent to discuss the attack plan." Yes. General Manager Su returned to the team and ordered, "Everyone, we are all experienced people. I don't need to teach you how to set up camp and how to coordinate with each other, right? Great General Manager. Let me take care of it." That black-clothed protector of General Manager Su stood out automatically. Okay. General Manager Su's team was arranged to be on the west side of the canyon. Qin Wushuang and the other 2 shared a tent. Everything had been arranged. Someone had already served them food and drinks. Everything had been arranged thoroughly. "Boss, there are so many elite warriors." Bao Bao smacked his tongue. To prevent the walls from having ears, of course Bao Bao used his voice. Lone also felt the same. Good Lord, no wonder that Commander Chun is an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage. No one could even look at him face to face. That power is simply frightening. Even a narcissistic guy like the Purple Flame Electric Beast was impressed by the strength of that Commander Chun. It was apparent that this Commander Chun did possess overwhelming power. "Boss, what's our next step?" Bao Bao asked again. Qin Wushuang said in a low voice. General Manager Su already went to the meeting. "I believe that they must be discussing the final marching plan in this meeting. We will make plans after the marching plan has been arranged. Overall, we must be careful." Qin Wushuang added, "Under the situation where elite warriors are watching us, we must not act blindly without thinking. Especially before Commander Chun, we must not reveal any flaws." Of course. Thinking of Commander Chen's terrifying strength, Bao Bao and Lone also restrained their fear deeply. "Boss, although that Commander Chen only brought 4 people, I see that each of those 4 are elite warriors at the Void Martial stage. Most likely, 2 of them are at the Transformation Void Martial stage. Of course, the people that came with Commander Chun would not be good people. If they were just here to make up the numbers, why would Commander Chen bring them? Of course, they were trustworthy and had the strength to back it up. This way, unknowingly, Qin Wushuang's hidden plan had become much more difficult. Monthly votes are difficult, requesting help. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 435. The 4 general managers were all elite warriors at the Transformation Void Martial stage. And next to Commander Chun, there were 2 elite warriors at the Transformation Void Martial stage. That would be equivalent to having 6 elite warriors at the Transformation Void Martial stage. Besides them, each of the 4 general managers had 4 or 5 elite warriors at the Refined Void Martial stage, plus the other 2 warriors at the Refined Void Martial stage next to Commander Chun. The total number would not be less than 20. Of course, Bao Bao and Lone, the 2 elite warriors at the Refined Void Martial stage, were not included. Bao Bao mumbled to himself. Good guys, 1 elite warrior at the Profound Void Martial stage, 6 at the Transformation Void Martial stage, and about 20 at the Refined Void Martial stage. There are also more than 20 at the Perfect stage. The remaining are all at the Advanced stage. For such strength, if one were to hear about it in the human countries, it would be enough to make one's entire body go limp. If such strength were to be placed in the human countries, they would be the number 1 overlord without a doubt. They would be the type of absolute authority that could not be challenged. And these powerhouses had gathered together for one mission. They were to attack a major powerhouse in one of the states in the Xianyuan Mound. It was apparent that compared to the human countries, the strength of the Xianyuan Mound was as different as heaven and earth. Boss, If the Hundred-Leaf Chain clan does not have any trump cards and only has two elite warriors at the Transformation Void Marshal stage, then this battle would be extremely difficult. Bao Bao was speaking the truth. Even if the Hundred-Leaf Chain clan had the geographical advantage, if the difference in strength was too great, it would be extremely difficult to deal with this group of invading elite warriors that were like tigers and wolves. It could even be said that it would be like striking a stone with an egg. Third, as a tyrannical powerhouse that had stood at the Hundred-Leaf State for so many years, and a local tyrannical powerhouse that holds the right to exploit the mineral resources, I would never believe that they do not have some trump cards. I believe that Commander Chun and the others must have expected that the Qin clan has some trump cards. I think everyone that had participated in this mission would know this. Lone also nodded. Boss is right. If they did not have some trump cards, I cannot think of any reason why the Hundred-Leaf Chain clan had occupied the mineral resources and not been targeted by anyone. Even if they had the protection of the Heavenly Emperor Chain clan, could it be that no one had schemed against them? Certainly, they must have some trump cards. Let's play it by ear. It's too early to make any guesses. Qin Wushuang also knew that in this situation, it was useless to be anxious. They had to take one step at a time. I believe that after their meeting, everything will be settled. Inside the tent, the three of them did not discuss any further. They only chatted casually about some of the strange happenings in the Orderly Mountain Prefecture. Roughly 2 hours later, General Manager Su walked out of Commander Chen's tent. As soon as he walked out, he immediately gathered all the teams. Everyone, please leave the tent. Commander Chun has something to say. Since Commander Chun had spoken, no one dared to be absent. Those who participated in this mission were mostly rogue cultivators. They did not have any backing. How could they dare to offend an expert like Commander Chun? Even if he had an unruly personality, he would not dare to act rashly. Everyone came to the open space outside Commander Chen's tent. The 4 great general managers each had a team of 20 people. Including Commander Chen's group, there were 5 people. The total number of people in this operation was only 85. Commander Chen glanced around with satisfaction and said with a smile, "I see hope in your eyes. There is no fear or hesitation in your eyes. There is only the desire to fight. What I need is your desire to fight. Everyone here is experienced, and I believe you have come in contact with matters of life and death. Thus, I will not speak any more nonsense. Before we depart, we need to set some rules. As the saying goes, without rules, nothing can be accomplished. If a team does not have rules, they will not be able to do anything. Thus, I have a few rules here." When Commander Chen said this, his eyes suddenly swept away the pleasant expression from before. Instead, they were filled with an awe-inspiring intent. He slowly glanced around again and spoke again. "The first rule is that you cannot slack off, nor can you run away before the battle. For example, even if the battle is unfavorable and you need to retreat, you cannot leave the team and run away alone. They were only allowed to retreat under the orders of their respective managers. If anyone runs away without orders and disturbs the morale of the team, all the general managers have the right to execute the law. To be clear, those who violate the first rule die." Commander Chen's tone was stern and carried a wave of unquestionable authority. Although these words sounded tyrannical and the rules were somewhat tyrannical, it sounded like a golden rule when it came out from his mouth. No one would be allowed to refute it. The second rule: when everyone walks together, we will be comrades in the same trench. We will never engage in internal strife, and we will never plot against each other when we see that our friends have good equipment and weapons. If you violate this second rule, you will also face one-word death. The restriction of this rule was reasonable and allowed many people to put down one of their worries. In fact, they were somewhat restraining their fear of participating in this mission. Of course, restraining their fear of the power of the Hundred-Leaf Chain clan was one of the reasons. However, they were also restraining their fear of being plotted against by their friends. After Commander Chun had finished speaking these 2 rules, he bent down his 3rd finger and said slowly, "The third rule for this attack on the Hundred-Leaf Chain clan everyone will use their own skills. You will receive the amount of rewards you have contributed. You must never steal other people's contributions. If you're reported for stealing other people's contributions, your personal rewards will be canceled. To a certain extent, this rule had protected the interests of everyone participating in this mission. Naturally, this rule had received the support of most people. Inwardly, they were looking forward to this mission. After all, each of these rules appeared extremely formal. The more formal it was, the more it made people feel at ease. At this moment, Qin Wushuang could not help but feel impressed by the methods of this Commander Chen. Using both the carrot and the stick, when it was time to show his personal style, he would appear elegant and graceful. When it was time for him to be the villain, he would immediately put down his face to be the villain. Indeed, such a person was a ruthless character. This fourth rule is also the most important one. For this mission, each general manager will be in charge of their own team. When acting alone, the general manager will be the highest leader and the one who gives the orders. When the general manager gives the orders, everyone must carry it out unconditionally. As for the four great chiefs, they're directly under my command. The highest level of command will be given by me, the commander. Whoever disobeys, regardless of who they are, will be killed without mercy. When Commander Chen said here, he glanced across the entire scene with his eagle-like eyes. He asked with a stern voice, "Did you all hear it clearly? If you have any questions, you can ask now." The entire scene was in absolute silence, and not a single discordant voice could be heard. Commander Chen was extremely satisfied as he nodded. "Good. The rules are the rules, and something our team must have. With the rules, we will act according to the rules. Next, General Manager Su, you will talk about the specific situation." Commander Chen also valued that General Manager Su highly. Among the four general managers, General Manager Su was the one with the most meticulous mind and the one with the most schemes. General Manager Su nodded and did not decline. He stood up and raised his voice. "Everyone, a moment ago, Commander Chen had gathered all of us to discuss the attack plan. For now, it is not appropriate to announce the specific attack plan. However, here, we can share some information with everyone. At the same time, it will allow everyone to be mentally prepared. According to the information, on the surface, the 100-Leaf Qin clan only has 2 elite warriors at the Transformation Void Martial stage and 6 refined Void Martial stage warriors. Of course, this is only their strength on the surface. After our discussion, we all think that the 100-Leaf Qin clan should still have some trump cards. Regardless, even if their trump cards are twice as powerful as the ones on the surface, we will still have an overwhelming advantage. General Manager Su pointed at Commander Chen, and there was obvious praise and even flattery in his tone. With Commander Chen, an elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage, no matter how powerful their trump cards are, they will not be a threat. For the elite warriors at the Transformation Void Martial stage, we will also have the upper hand. As for the elite warriors at the refined Void Martial stage, we have many times more than the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Thus, for this battle, we will have an overwhelming advantage in terms of strength on the surface." Commander Chen nodded with satisfaction. Apparently, he was satisfied with General Manager Su's tone. Qin Wushuang listened attentively. He did not expect that these people in charge would admit that the 100-Leaf Qin clan had trump cards. However, after some thought, he understood. The more it was like this, the more they could win everyone's trust, and the more it would appear that they had a card up their sleeve. Everyone, strength does not mean everything. Strength only means that under the same conditions, we will have a greater chance of winning. However, the exact outcome will depend on how we plan the attack. This time, we have many plans to attack the 100-Leaf Qin clan. You don't need to know the exact plan, you only need to know to listen to your leader. You must carry out the orders strictly. When Commander Chen heard up to here, he could not help but nod. When General Manager Su saw that Commander Chen had also nodded in agreement, he became even more confident as he said, "Everyone, victory is right in front of us. I hope everyone will be 120% focused. Remember, only by winning will you receive your rewards." Suddenly, Commander Chen laughed, and took over the conversation with a light smile. If the reward is only a bargaining chip to attract you guys, then perhaps my next promise will be enough to make you guys crazy. A promise? As soon as he said these words, almost everyone at the scene became spirited as they pricked up their ears to listen to Commander Chen's next words. Apparently, Commander Chen had already predicted everything. After a pause, he said in a clear voice, "When we break through the 100-Leaf Qin clan, we will let everyone loot the castle. Whoever finds the good stuff will get it. Besides the secret treasure vault and crystal stone mines, you are not allowed to open them. Everything else is up to you." Instantly, there was a wave of low cries from below. Commander Chen meant that he would allow everyone to loot without restraint. Indeed, this promise was like a shot of chicken blood as it made the expression on each of these people become ferocious. The blood in their bones also started to boil. As Commander Chen had said, indeed, this promise was enough to make everyone go crazy. Since the Qin clan was so big, for sure, they would have a lot of good stuff. If they looted without restraint, most likely, their harvest would be much more than the rewards. If they were lucky, they might even make a fortune. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.qijian.com to read more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 436. Qin Wushuang had a sharp mind. From this lofty promise, he had heard a trace of sinister intentions from Commander Chen. When he made this promise, Commander Chen did not mention that they were not allowed to rob each other. And this promise had to be made after they had breached the 100-Leaf Qin clan. After they had breached the castle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, it would not affect the general situation whether these people robbed each other, fought among themselves, or killed each other. Perhaps this Commander Chen wanted everyone to kill each other. Once they killed each other, it would be hard to avoid casualties. At that time, they could give out less rewards. Of course, although Qin Wushuang had this thought, he would not expose it. He only sat quietly in the same place and pretended to listen attentively. He did not show the slightest change in his expression. After Commander Chen had finished speaking, his eyes also scanned the surroundings. Apparently, he was observing everyone's reaction. Under Commander Chen's oppressive gaze, these people were simply unable to withstand it. None of them dared to look him in the eye. Commander Chen smiled and said, "All right, let's end it here for tonight. Tomorrow morning, we will divide the work. Everyone, go back to your tents and rest early to prepare for the battle." After the meeting had ended, everyone returned to their tents and rested. Early in the morning of the next day, this valley became lively. People from different groups walked out of their tents and strolled around the valley. Most of the people that had participated in this mission were freelance martial artists. They had the habit of waking up early to train. Thus, in twos and threes, they scattered around the valley. Following the order to gather, the team gathered again. Under the morning light, that Commander Chen appeared to have a well-thought-out plan. He looked at the direction of the 100-Leaf State leisurely. "Everyone at this moment, the 100-Leaf Qin clan is waiting for us. For this attack, half of it is a conspiracy, and the other half is an open one. The open one is that we know that the 100-Leaf Qin clan is prepared, and they also know that we will attack. As for the conspiracy, there's a lot to learn. When to attack, how to arrange, and what strategy to use, it is all within the scope of this conspiracy. From now on, the team will still be divided into 4 teams. Each team will be led by your general manager. As for where to go and what mission to carry out, the general managers know it clearly. All you need to do is follow the general manager and carry out the tasks assigned by the general manager." After Commander Chen finished speaking, he waved his hand. "Everyone, remember the rules from yesterday. Without further ado, the 100-Leaf Qin clan has too many good things waiting for us to rob them. Let's go." Under the lead of General Manager Su, this group of people chose a route and rushed towards the 100-Leaf province. Although Qin Wushuang was still in the clouds and had not grasped the slightest bit of wind direction, he knew that this matter could not be rushed. Once he panicked, it would be easier for him to reveal his flaws. This was Commander Chen's arrangement. Everything was done in secret. Other than the experts at the level of the 4 great chiefs who knew the specific plan, the rest of the members had no way of knowing their attack strategy beforehand. To a large extent, this prevented information from being leaked. This move could not be said to be careless. Along the way, Bao Bao and Lone obeyed Qin Wushuang's orders and did not act rashly. Although he was anxious in his heart, he also knew that being anxious at this time would only reveal a flaw, which would not help the situation. After walking for a day, the team entered the 100-Leaf Province in the evening of the same day. General Manager Su took out the map and nodded after looking at it for a moment. "It's this mountain. Tonight, we will camp here." Again, it was camping. Although being kept in the dark made all the members feel as if they had been deceived, they also knew that it was because the person in charge was afraid that there would be spies in their team that would leak the information. Such action would completely prevent the spies from having any room to perform. After they had set up camp, General Manager Su said with a smile, "Everyone, to tell you the truth, our team is the first to arrive at the 100-Leaf Province. Besides, this place is only 300 or 400 miles away from the 100-Leaf Qin clan. It could be said that our team is walking on the front line." That Red Pine honored warrior could not help but say, "General Manager Su, wouldn't it be somewhat unreasonable to let our team be the vanguard and not come with so many elite warriors?" Again, General Manager Su smiled and asked leisurely, "Red Pine honored warrior, did I say that we were going to be the vanguard?" Red Pine honored warrior was puzzled. "General Manager Su, since we're the first to arrive and are standing on the front line, are we not the vanguard?" General Manager Su smiled mysteriously. "Everything is arranged. The only thing I can tell you is that we are not the vanguard." However, the other elite warrior at the refined Void Martial stage, that gray-haired elder Mr. G, said, "It's not a good thing to be kept in the dark. Everyone is not confident. Once the battle starts, we are not mentally prepared and lack the necessary countermeasures." General Manager Su still spoke with a confident tone. "Mr. G, please rest assured. Tonight, don't worry about the battle. If the battle starts tomorrow, I will inform everyone. I won't let everyone rush in a battle without any mental preparation." The words of General Manager Su had made many people feel relieved. Suddenly, Qin Wushuang said, "General Manager Su, there is something I don't understand. Wu Clan's eldest son, what do you have to say? The mountain where we are setting up camp is a relatively low-lying place among the surrounding mountain ranges. I see that we are surrounded by mountains on all sides. If we set up camp here, won't we be completely exposed? It doesn't seem right to set up camp here." "That's right," Red Pine honored warrior suddenly realized. "General Manager Su, the terrain on all sides is high. Why do we have to choose the shortest mountain to set up camp? Aren't we setting ourselves up as a target? If the enemy attacks us from all sides, it will be a surprise attack. This battle won't be easy for us to deal with." General Manager Su smiled faintly and looked at Qin Wushuang meaningfully. Obviously, he was somewhat dissatisfied with Qin Wushuang for pointing out this problem. However, his dissatisfaction wasn't expressed in a radical way. "General Manager Su, don't just laugh. What this Wu Clan kid said makes sense." That gray-haired elder, Mr. G, also chimed in. At this time, the man in black next to General Manager Su said, "Everyone, remember those rules. You only need to execute them. When the mission is given, you will execute it. General Manager Su is the leader of this team. You will execute the orders he gave unconditionally. Whoever disobeys will be killed without mercy." After he had finished speaking, he did not forget to emphasize, "These are the rules set by Commander Chun." Qin Wushuang smiled lightly and did not defend himself. However, Bao Bao whispered, "We are only making suggestions. It's different from disobeying, right? The rules say that we cannot disobey, but they didn't say that we cannot voice our opinions." "Haha, this little brother is right." General Manager Su revealed an indifferent expression as if he had turned a deaf ear to their words. He flicked his sleeve lightly. "Everyone, Set up camp and rest well. This is the order for tonight. Just execute it." After he had finished speaking, suddenly his tone changed and became extremely strict. "Whoever disobeys, kill." General Manager Su had always been gentle and refined. Currently, he was like an angry ram that had revealed his loftiness. Since he had spoken these words, of course, no one would ask for a snub and say anything more. Inwardly, they were unwilling and returned to their tents to rest. Inside the great castle of the 100-Leaf Chin clan, almost all the elite warriors of the clan had gathered together. A middle-aged man sat in the great hall. He had a dignified appearance and a pair of sword-like eyebrows that extended deep into his temples. This person was the current patriarch of the 100-Leaf Chin clan, Qin Bolong. Below the patriarch sat his assistant, Qin Zhonglong, who was also Qin Bolong's twin brother. These two were also publicly recognized as the two giants of the 100-Leaf Chin clan. They were both elite warriors of the transformation Void Martial stage. Besides them, on the left and right, there were 6 chairs each. People were sitting on all of them. They were the 6 elders at the refined Void Martial stage. These 8 people had formed the backbone of the Qin family. Apparently, each of the remaining people of the Qin clan had an extraordinary identity. Since the disciples of the Qin clan were able to appear here, they held an extraordinary position in the clan. Currently, everyone's expression had a solemn expression as if they were facing a life and death situation. I just received a report from our scouts. The enemy has already arrived at the Duckbeak Mountain. They have already set up camp at the Duckbeak Mountain. The leader of this group of enemies is an elite warrior at the transformation Void Martial stage. Besides, there are a few elite warriors at the refined Void Martial stage in the group. Qin Bolong shared the information with everyone with a serious tone. Instantly, the head elder frowned. "Duckbeak Mountain? Are they crazy? The Duckbeak Mountain is surrounded by the surrounding mountain ranges. Are they not afraid of being surrounded by us?" However, Qin Zhonglong shook his head. "This is their little trick. From my point of view, they deliberately set up camp at the Duckbeak Mountain because they did not know that they would be attacked from all sides. They surrounded us from a high vantage point. For sure, they did this because they have nothing to fear. They deliberately lured us into the trap. Unless their leader is completely brainless, who would choose to set up camp at the Duckbeak Mountain?" Qin Zhonglong's analysis received the unanimous approval of the others. All those elders nodded. Patriarch Qin Bolong gave a long sigh. Zhonglong's words make sense. I am afraid they have people hiding on both sides of the Duckbeak Mountain. If we were to attack recklessly, we would fall into their trap. Speaking of this trick, it is not a brilliant one. If they think that this little trick could lure us to launch an attack, then they are underestimating the 100-Leaf Chin clan too much. Qin Zhonglong nodded. Patriarch, there is the so-called saying of all is fair in war. Their actions appear to be a little trick. However, it could be a trick within a trick. A trick within a trick? The other elders all looked at Qin Zhonglong with astonishment. Qin Zhonglong explained with a serious tone. Please look, if they set up camp at the Duckbeak Mountain purely to lure us to attack, this trick appears too shallow. It's impossible that they did not know that the Qin clan could easily see through this little trick. If they knew, they would still do it deliberately. Then it's worth discussing. Most likely, it's a trick within a trick. They deliberately used the Duckbeak Mountain as a cover to attract our attention. They would make us hesitate and put us in a difficult position. Most likely, their other teams did not even set up an ambush on the two sides. Instead, they are creating a diversion to attack the other strongholds of the Qin clan. Diversion to the east and attack to the west. A sharp light flashed across the eyes of Patriarch Qin Bolong. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.